42? I don't even remember what the fuck 42 was.
I don't know.
Hold on, I'm going to have to go look at episode 42 now.
Whatever the Slayton Johnson episode was, that was the one I listened to.
Oh, is that 42?
I don't know if it's 42. It's back there now. It's
E-channel, videos.
It's way back there, actually. Was it? You went all the way.
42. Oh, that's the one I did with my son, actually.
Oh, that was
my older son.
And then you did.
If that's the one you listen to, it's 42.
I listened to that one, 42, and then Slayton Johnson like right after it.
Okay.
So I don't know how far, because I was scrolling through and I was like, oh, let me just hit one, and then I saw Slayton's name and I was like, oh, I went to college with that guy.
Yeah, Slayton was a few episodes back from that, but
maybe I woke up and realized it was on 42.
Maybe. I'm trying to think now. Let's see.
Happens, man. I already had a dream about this last night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I already knew what I was going to say, and then I forgot when I woke up.
Yeah, episode 22 was the last one I did with Caleb Choir. So if you're listening to 42, that's one of my first episodes I did with a guest after Caleb left, and that happened to be my older son. So I called it Brian Dale Squared.
Hell yeah. Oh, yeah, because you're a senior. He's a junior.
Yeah, Brian and Brian. So, yeah. Cool, man. I'm glad you... That was one of the things, speaking of Caleb, when we used to do this show, is we used to invite people in and stuff. And the whole moniker was we wanted to have influential, interesting, and fun guests. That was it. So you didn't have to be a part, it's craft conversation. So originally it was kind of about craft beer a little bit, but we kind of veered away from that. We still talked about craft beer every show, but it was really just about interesting. What the fuck did I just say? Interesting, influential, and fun guests. So we just had people on.
Well, you're batting at least one. I'm influential.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just kidding.
We'll see if you're interesting or fun. Yeah, right. No. But, yeah, so we're recording. Fuck. I don't know.
We can get started whenever you want. Yeah.
We're started. We're done. So.
Oh, yeah, we already started now.
Yeah, so we're drinking, Corey doesn't drink. This is Corey Dalton Tate, by the way. Do you go by that full name?
No. Actually, the story behind Corey Dalton Tate on Facebook was I set that back in like 2007 whenever I started Facebook. And it was like my way of being like, all right, if you're going to be on my Facebook, you have to know me.
Right.
And like know my middle name. Like I never say my middle name ever. So if you know my middle name, you know who I am. And then it just kind of spawned into like people calling me Corey Dalton Tate. Cool. So I'm like, all right, cool, I'll take it. So,
yeah.
But I usually just go as Corey Tate.
Okay. Yeah, I always refer to you as Corey Dalton Tate just because that's the way I know you. But, yeah. So anyway, this is Corey Dalton Tate. He does not drink at the moment. We'll get into that a little bit later. So we're drinking some unsweet tea from Lowe's Foods. I go over there quite often just to have a few beers at the beer den over there because I used to work over there, and I still know quite a few people over there at the store. So I figured these were kind of cute, and it's non-alcoholic. And
I like it. I
think everybody can appreciate tea. Hopefully you're not off of caffeine as well. I don't know.
Oh, no, I'm not straight edge, man. That'd be crazy.
But I don't think I've ever had their tea, actually. But
you know what? Screw it. Let's cheers it.
Cheers
on the tea.
It's unsweetened tea.
That's actually way better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. It's just classic tea.
Yeah.
You get a lot of those bottled teas like Honest Tea and whatever all these tea companies are. I can't even think of any off the top of my head, but they always put that citric acid in there. It's kind of a preservative to kind of make it last longer, and it always has that kind of lemony,
like tangy
flavor. And I'm not a big fan of that. I like just a classic, if it's unsweetened, just a classic tea flavor. Yeah.
Well, if you like teas, I don't know if they make an unsweet. I think they do. Look up a brand called Joe Tea. It's really good.
Joe.
We sell it at my store. Shameless plug, Benny Palmettos.
What is it?
Benny Palmettos.
Benny?
Benny, yep. Benny, Benny. Palmettos. It's a store in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. Now, I know we're coming from Somerville area right now. But it's a small pizza shop. And that is my day job. That is what I do. I sling dough.
Okay.
I manage that. It's pretty fun. We're opening up a...
Yeah, I was going to ask you, that's what's coming to Somerville?
Yeah, that's what's coming to Somerville right down from Homegrown. We're going to have a little beer bar as well, but it's going to be more of the everyday vibe, not like the I want something weird and crazy vibe. It's going to be like, I'm going to go there and grab a sliced pizza and a Bud Light, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So. Cool. And I apologize. I got a little stain on my shirt, man. I had some food before I came over here, Dog and Duck, and I was going to change my shirt, and I said, no, that'll be interesting for the show. I have a big stain on my shirt.
I thought you spilled the unsweetened
maybe
tea,
it distract you. No, this happened before you got here. I tried to wash it off and blow dry it, and it's a grease stain, I think, so it's going to be there until I wash it.
You got to remember not to cough into the mic, like cough over here.
No, cough wherever you want to, man. As long as you don't have the coronavirus, that's fine.
Well, no, I mean, not yet.
Yeah.
It's going around then.
So I don't even remember why I know you or how I met you. I really don't recall. I mean, I'm sure it was a roundabout way through friends of friends or whatever, but do you remember?
Honestly, you know what? That is the story of how everyone meets me. Nobody remembers how they meet me.
Really?
I rarely ever remember how I meet people. I would say the defined moment where I like remember like, okay, this is who this person is the night that you came out to see me at Juju.
Right.
And you're sitting at the bar. That was like the moment where I was like, okay, this is who Brian Dale Sr. is. Like, this is who he is. I want to say maybe from Ice House.
I'm not sure. But I definitely, when I was going to sleep last night, I remember that specifically that I was out at Isle Palms and I saw that you were playing at that Juju's, and I came back from Isle Palms and decided to stop in there and check you out. But I think I remember... I was trying to piece it together myself, and maybe, I mean, I'm friends with a lot of musician friends, so I'm sure it was just you were a musician, and somehow we just kind of linked up and added each other somehow. But I want to say it was from Benjamin, whatever his fucking name is, Wobojakowski or
Roblowski.
Yeah, Ben somewhere is what I call him. That's what he goes by.
Whenever I try to say his last name, I just pretend like I'm trying to throw up, and then that's how I get it.
Right.
Love you, Ben, by the way, if you're listening to this.
Yeah, Ben's a cool dude. But I think that's how I think that's how I met you, and maybe you had said something on one of his posts or something. I don't know, but you were kind of down and out at the time, and I remember just kind of hitting you up with a couple positive affirmation type things or some bullshit.
What was that?
And then I decided to just come out and support you one night at the Juju's, and that was a good time. That's the first time I'd ever been there. Since it had changed, I think it was a sushi joint at one point before that. So,
and sadly, it is.
They're not there. Yeah, they're not there, right?
Yeah, whatever happened in the business plan of it. You know, I tend to believe that some business, like some buildings, not businesses, but just some locations are just cursed. I mean, you look at where it's at. It would take something super specific to get people to go right next to bottles and sit there and eat. Great looking restaurant, beautiful layout.
Yeah,
just didn't work for some reason. Like, and great food. Everything about it screams I should work, and it just didn't take off.
Yeah, I had a good time the night I was there. It was like Caribbean or something, right?
Caribbean food. Yeah.
How you say that? Caribbean or Caribbean?
Dude, I don't give a fuck.
I don't either, really. I just didn't know if you had a specific way.
That's what people are like, caramel. I'm like, I don't shit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah? Okay, then fuck you.
Right. Yeah, it works.
That's how I do that all the time. When people are like, I'll say the wrong thing and they'll be like, you mean this? And I was like, did you know what I was talking about? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, fuck you.
Yeah, so why are we discussing it? Yeah, that's a good point.
I like that, though. No, man, but like, I'm actually excited to do what we're about to do here because, I mean, I feel like we're warming up, like, doing the pre-coitus talk. Speaking of coitus, that's what we're going to talk about. It's a fancy word for fucking.
Okay.
You need to.
I didn't know we were getting into that, but
yeah. Well, not us.
Okay.
Not us.
All right, I guess.
This isn't like casting couch or anything. But no, like we're gonna get into the taboos of bar life, of the bar scene, and you being a bartender for a long time, and me being in the bar scene for a long time, and there's a couple things that like you're not supposed to talk about, and you're not supposed to say, and you're not supposed to like really get into, because. When you're drinking, you get a little bit more heated easily, or you get a little bit more loose-lipped. So politics, sex and drugs, and religion. And all three of those things I know a lot about. So maybe not as much in politics, but the other two definitely.
Right. Well, let's start off to begin with. I mean, who is Corey Dalton Tate? I mean, we've talked about music, I guess, a little bit. So you want to go into that first, or you want to save that for later? I mean, how do you want this direction to go?
We can probably pepper in who I am throughout the whole thing, because I mean, I could do 2 hours just on me. Being an alcoholic and a recovering drug addict, being self-centered is super easy. So we can talk about me all day, but essentially who I am as a person now versus who I was. Who I am now is
keep that mic a little closer to you.
Right here?
You don't have to lean into it. Just it moves. Just pull it to you. Pull it, whatever.
Oh, I got you. Oh,
there
cool.
Yeah.
I was afraid of it. I was like, oh,
yeah,
I don't want to touch this because I have a boisterous voice and I breathe really heavy. Like,
that's fine. That's part of the show, man. Burp if you want to. I don't care. Whatever. We're going into the quarters thing already. Okay.
So basically, who I am now. Who I am now is a person that's really focused on living the best life he can live, regardless of if that's music, as a pizza shop manager, as a volunteer doing something, just literally waking up every day and seizing the day. Carpe the fuck out of that DM. Who I was is a person that would literally wake up every day and want to be so successful in music that he was willing to like throw people under the bus, pretend to care about other musicians. Same thing with work. Throw people under the bus, pretend to care about other coworkers. And it's a really weird shift that you make whenever you get, emotionally beat down so much from the life that you're living that you realize you're either going to die or you're going to become the person that you're like begging to be. And that's kind of like where the transition happened for me and where I'm going now. So,
okay. Well, why were you that person to begin with? The person that you're talking about that threw people under the bus, whatever. Is that an upbringing thing, or is it something that you were raised with?
No, definitely not.
Schooling, friends you hung out with. What kind of thought process was that?
Honestly, you know what it was? I was a pissed off little kid in a man's body. Like, I was brought up right. I had a pretty good home, taught the right things, taught to be successful, taught how to talk, how to act, how to be polite, how to care about other people. And then I got to a point in my college years where I met a girl and I thought we were going to get married and I was like in love with her. I thought I was in love. It was the first girl I ever really loved. And it didn't work out. And after that, I just such a pissed off little kid that I was like, fuck everybody else. It's about me feeling good and about me. How do I put this? It's about me and it doesn't matter. Nobody else matters. I let everybody else matter for too long. Now it's all about me.
Right.
And that's
kind of an ego thing.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
And that's where I can pinpoint that was the day that I decided that I was going to become this, like, more bigger than life being. That, in fact, in Hilton Head, shout out to my Hilton Head people. Hopefully some of you guys subscribe and listen to this. I went by a guy named Corey T. And that was like my alter ego, or Tequila Corey as they called him. And that was what would happen as I would get drunk and I would get high and I would have to be this bigger than life thing that I look back on and I go, man, you were such a loser.
Right.
Like,
so it's kind of an acceptance thing, you think? You just want people to like you, or you thought you were going to be more likable?
I wanted to feel important.
Okay.
Like, it was this thing to where, like, I don't know if everybody has it, this thing, like wanting to feel important. I feel like some people genuinely don't care if they're ever seen. You know what I mean? And I feel like I've always, even thinking back about childhood, I've always just fought to be seen. Like, I need to be important. I need to be seen. I need to be number one, or I need to be this, or I need to be that. Instead of just accepting that I'm going to be whatever I'm going to be. Like, there's no putting like a label on what I'm going to be is just kind of.
But again, does that go back to like a childhood thing or schooling where you just weren't seen? You were ignored. People just didn't pay attention to you and you just felt like you needed to become that person?
I think there's a bunch of different routes you could go with it. I'm very open about my life. I was not foster, but I consider myself adopted, even though there was no paperwork filed or whatever. I lived with my aunt, from age 4 until 17.
Okay.
My mother is from Charleston. She lost custody of me and my brother due to drugs, or alcohol, not drugs, but just inability to take care of us, essentially. I assume it was drugs and alcohol. Never affluently told it was drugs or alcohol, but essentially, if you've ever been a drug addict or an alcoholic, true drug addict and alcoholic, and you are going to the point where you can't survive, let alone take care of another child or another human being, doesn't matter whether you're still doing the drugs or not. It's the behavior that is causing you to do that. the isms, as a lot of people put it, who have talked to me about it. And so, like, not living with her, but, like, I guess visiting her and living in a household where my parents didn't, when I say my parents, I mean my aunt and uncle, they didn't want me to grow up and end up like her. So, and by the way, precursor, these are all my feelings. These are not what I like to call community reality. So what my parents or what my mom or whatever they deem the community reality would be, going to be very different from how I perceive.
Right. I always say there's three sides to a story. So you
yeah.
got your side that you're telling right now.
Yeah. So I get the voice of being able to tell my side of the story.
Yeah.
But basically, growing up, watching her, use alcohol the way she did, her now husband, who is a great guy now, he is an amazing guy now. But back then, when I was 5 or 6 years old, he disciplined us a certain way that I didn't like because it wasn't the same way as being disciplined at home. So you have two homes trying to raise the same child who I would deem myself as a very special type of child. Like, I'm very sporadic, very boisterous, very in your face. I'm always trying to do everything, like ADHD to the max. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so growing up in that aspect, it is two different parenting styles trying to figure out how to parent the same person without telling that kid or whatever what's actually going on, which brings me to a whole different subject about child caring and how, like, I think kids should be talked to. But
right. And I mean, kids in general are going to figure things out anyway. I mean, we think they're dumber than they are, but they know what's going on for the most part. But
I knew my mom was drinking beer on the drive home from picking me up for visitation. The first time I saw a brown bag in her lap, I knew what it was. You know what I mean? I was 5 years old. She could say it was a Pepsi all she wanted to. Kids aren't dumb.
Yeah.
But what a lot of people don't realize is what your passive things that you show kids are what's going to mold them. So psychologically, I was like, I don't want to end up that way. I'm not going to be an alcoholic. I'm not going to be a drug addict. I'm not going to do those things. And my first time ever remembering picking up a drink of alcohol was like 15, 16 years old. And I drank like a half a beer and I hated it. Mm-hmm. And then I think I smoked pot at like 15 or 16 and I don't even remember feeling stoned. You know what I mean? Rode around all day in the pot guy's car smoking joints. Don't remember even feeling stoned. But back to your initial question, do I think it was raising or teaching or schooling? I don't think there's one thing that dictated who I was going to become or who I was. I think it's a giant culmination of nurture, nature, and heredity. Mm-hmm. Genetics, I come from a line of alcoholics and drug addicts. Nurture, I was raised without a single drop of alcohol in the house. You know what I mean? So you tell me.
I mean, a lot of times that's a precursor to alcoholic. I mean, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're deprived something or you're not allowed it, all your friends, and you see it in society and you see it on TV and movies and everything else. Sometimes it's even, I don't even know what's the word I'm looking for, but it's even more, you want it even more, I guess.
Yeah.
I can't think of the word.
And the crazy thing about it is that wasn't it. Like, I think the acceptance thing just came from, like, when I was younger, consciously feeling like my mother didn't want me because as a young kid, I couldn't understand why I wasn't with her.
How did you feel like maybe getting into drugs and alcohol would bring you closer to her because that was her thing? No?
No, because I didn't really hit drugs and alcohol until I was an adult. Okay. And I'd already kind of come to terms with the mother situation. Like, I didn't have mommy issues going into drugs and alcohol.
Right. And I didn't mean to turn this into some kind of therapy session.
Oh, no, I'm cool with it. Yeah, I will get you on my podcast, and I'm going to start called Pizza Therapy.
All right.
And that's what we'll do.
Yeah.
When we're serving pizza and talking about our problems.
I love it.
You can help me set it up. We'll just stream it out of the same site.
All right.
But yeah, no. I personally think that the want to be seen came from the thought of me getting sent back. Like, so my mother was painted as a bad person. I thought she was a bad person because I didn't understand what was going on. And I had resentment in my heart. Like, why can't you have me? Why can't I be with you? Well, not knowing that, like, it was for my own good. And then me acting out as a small child, which, you know, statistically kids do when they're in broken homes. My aunt, who I love her to death, and she raised me the best she could in the right way. I remember her saying, if you don't tighten up, we're going to send you back to live with your mom. And that is like the thing that, like, anytime I talk to anybody about my past life, and then that's the thing that always pops up in my head. If you don't behave, if you don't stop doing this, if you don't do that, we're going to send you back to your mother. And it's kind of, you know, like, to say it out loud, kind of sounds fucked up.
I was about to say the same exact phrase.
It sounds fucked up.
Yeah. That your punishment is to go back to your biological family.
Yeah. So that, like, in my brain, I got painted, you know, that reaffirmed that obviously living with my mother was not a good thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now, like I said, moving forward, like, if my mom or my aunt ever listen to this, hopefully they don't get mad or upset. These are my feelings. And that's kind of how life works. They may, you know, they have their own life. You know what I mean? My mom realized that she couldn't do it. And so she eventually just gave up trying to see me. But nobody ever said that to me.
Yeah.
No, so now I got this complex, oh, my mother doesn't love me. My mother doesn't want to see me. Yeah. So what did I do? I became Mr. All-American. I got into every club that I could get into. Played every sport I can get into. Tried to be, you know, Mr. Popularity. Tried to be in every single thing that I could be. You know, became leader of my church youth group. You know, just all these things that give you a sense of belonging and never really getting to the root of the problem. Never really stopping where I was at and telling people, like, hey, I'm only doing all this shit because I don't think anybody notices me or I don't feel important.
Yeah. And
in that time of my life, I was on Concerta, which is, for you people at home, is ADHD medicine, but is also prescribed cocaine. So whereas Adderall is the same chemical compound minus one molecule of methamphetamine, Concerta is it shows up as coke in a drug test.
Okay.
So, like, getting drug tested when I was on Concerta, I would pop for cocaine. So, I mean, like, when we get into the drugs and all that aspect of our conversation, makes a lot of sense why I was a cokehead. Right. I mean, heredity and then the
predisposed.
medicine. And then the medicine I took every day to be, like, normal was coke. Yeah. Essentially. You know, not a $20 bag worth or whatever I had to do to get by nowadays, but yeah.
Yeah.
So,
like the same thing, yeah. The opioid problem that we got going on, all that kind of stuff, same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just legalized drugs is all it is.
Yep. And so
out of adversity, you comes greatness, right? That's what they say.
If only I were great. That's the thing. If only I were great. I think.
But it helped you strive for that.
Yeah, it definitely did.
Whether or not it was authentic or not.
Yeah, I had this chip on my shoulder that said, I'm not going to be my mother or my father. With an equally heavy chip on the other shoulder that says, I'm not going to be like my aunt and uncle either. Like, I had just such disdain for family. Just in general. For family in general.
Only child, or you got brothers, sisters? Or?
I have a brother, a blood brother, and I have a man that I consider my brother, who is essentially like it's my aunt and uncle's children. I consider them my brothers and sisters as well. Yeah. A number of half brothers and sisters all across the nation. You know, that's how a trucker dad who's a drug addict, that's what he does. You know what I mean? So moving forward from that, like, I think I strive for greatness because I had these two chips on my shoulder that just said, I'm not going to be a fucking failure. I'm not going to, you know what I mean? I'm not going to be stuck in this small town living this simple life. But I'm also not going to be these drug addicts that never had a life. Like, I want to find this glorious middle. Yeah. And so I went to Charleston Southern to be a music therapy major. Initially, I was going to go to USC Aiken, which, you know, one of those turn back the clocks. Like, if I could change one thing,
sure,
going to USC Aiken would be my one thing that would change. Only because I saw my friends that went there and they graduated. They had a great college career. They graduated. They did all that stuff. So, yeah.
And you think that's just because they got out of town and went somewhere else when they didn't have all the distractions of where they were from type thing?
No, I think it's because they went to instead of like me, I went like from really small town to like, holy shit, it's Charleston. Whereas they went to like really small town to like slightly bigger Aiken.
Okay.
You know
so you're not
I mean?
from Charleston then?
No, originally from Brunson, South Carolina.
Oh, okay. I thought you were from
County.
Mount Pleasant or Charleston or something.
No, I mean,
okay.
I was born in Charleston and my mother has always lived in Charleston. Or not always lived in Charleston, but my entire life has lived in Charleston. So
sure.
I can claim it. Most of my first 4 years of my life and then 6 out of the last 8 years of my life. So 10 years out of 26.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I think that move would have been better. I would have been in a smaller environment. I would have been around more people who was in my youth group, more people from my high school. So I think my ego would have played a little bit more of a role, like not changing who Corey was in high school because all these people are here. You know what I mean? And I still have that problem today. Like people who know Corey, they get that Corey. Like, you know what I mean? So it's really weird when you have like you in a room and then somebody else in a room and they're all in the same room because you're like, oh shit, who am I today?
But I mean, in hindsight as well, I mean, you look at the person that you are right now, and I think that you like the person that you are right now. So if you were to go back and change that one thing, where would you have ended up? You know, with all the other events that would have happened, you might be worse off.
Who knows? Maybe I'd be a business owner. I don't know. Maybe I'd be working at the dollar store. Who knows? Yeah. That's the reason I don't like to live in the past like that.
No, you can't.
But I do love to be like, okay, if I could like say like a genie grants one wish.
Yeah.
I would at least like to see how that played out.
Yeah, it's fun to think about.
You know what I mean? I'd at least like to see how that played out because. One second. I got to drink my sweet tea.
No, unsweetened tea. Yeah, we don't do sugar on this podcast.
Yeah, unsweetened
unless
tea.
It's beer sugar.
Yeah, we're not allowed sugar. I can have crack. But I'm not allowed to have sugar.
Right.
Yeah, no.
And I mean, hopefully eventually, right? Well, whether it's virtual reality or time travel or whatever, maybe you could go back and finally find out what would have happened to Corey.
It would be really cool just to see... And that's going to be the religion part that we get to talk about. Just to see, like, if God's plan, and when I say God, I mean higher power. I don't mean, like, this fluffy guy in the sky. Like, well, for me, that's what he is. He's the Christian God. But when I say God, I mean whatever you or whoever's listening thinks God is for them. Could be a Pokemon on their video game system. Could be their wife. Could be whatever God is for them. If this is how God planned all this to go out, or if, like, which your argument's going to be is like, it's a random happening of events, or, you know what I mean? Because what it says, God says, I chose exactly what I was supposed to choose. There are two roads. All roads lead back to the same thing, right? That's not what I believe. I believe there are two roads. And yeah, there's an end goal. There's a design that God has for me. But free will is what he gave me. So my two roads are this. I choose this, and it's either going to lead to adversity or it's going to lead to the next step on God's plan for me. Now that adversity is my choice that I make there. Lead back to God's plan, will lead to more adversity, or, here's the thing. Nothing happens. I live in a state of like nothingness for a little while.
But can you really have God's plan and then free will? I mean, it seems like those are two totally different things. I mean, if God has your plan, then you're not going to be able to choose anything.
Well, that's what a lot of people's
There's
misconceptions.
no free will. I mean, and giving you free will just seems to me like it's a cop-out on God's part. Like,
yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, here's my divine plan, but you know what? You just do whatever you want to and you'll be fine.
Well, no. So here's the thing, right? I think that's the misconception a lot of people get. Now, what I'm saying, like, I like to qualify myself because when people hear me speak, I want them to know that these are my ideas. These are not written down in a book somewhere. Like some of the things I'll say are written in the Bible or are written in like different literatures I've read that I get my ideas from. But I like to think of myself as a person who is a conglomerate of ideas. I don't have it 100% figured out. That's what these conversations are for.
Nobody does.
Yeah, but it's for us to enlighten ourselves, right?
Even these people that say, I know there's a God. No, you don't. You don't know.
That's what faith is.
Yeah.
Faith is saying, I hope there's a God. Or not I hope, but I know there's a God is me having faith.
Right.
So getting back to God's plan, there are things in your life that show you what you're supposed to do, right? Everybody searches for purpose, whether they have a God or not. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, sure.
You'll qualify that one part. So everybody wants a purpose, right? So for people who believe in God's plan, all that equates to is God's purpose for you. Not this. A lot of people get it in their head like a lot of people confuse destiny with God's plan. You know what I mean? A lot of people consider them simultaneously. Not me. Destiny is some fictitious thing that people who wanted a reason why everything happens. Like, it was destiny we met. We were supposed to meet. You know what I mean? And maybe you were. But everything that you did after that isn't destiny. It's what you choose. It's the free will you have. I can meet my wife tomorrow, but if I don't listen to my higher power, like what I call God, and like meditate and like listen and look for signs of the right choices to make, I'm not going to be able to achieve my destiny, as you put it. So yeah, he has a plan. He has like this picture story that like, instead of thinking about him like on a fluffy cloud, think about him as a computer, right? A simulation computer, right? So in computer science, you run a simulation and you can run this simulation. That's like we were talking about. What if I would have went to this other school that has its own route, that has its own storyline? But you know what? If I find my way back to God, or if I never lost God, I'm eventually going to end up in the same place that I would have. Like, that's what God's plan is. Is like, if I'm actually searching after him, if I'm actually listening and meditating on what my purpose is, I'm going to find it. From a young age, I knew I was a great speaker. From a young age, I knew I was an influential speaker. I can make people believe what I'm saying. Whether that be good or bad. I mean, like, I could really use that for nefarious things, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's how politicians get in.
Yeah.
So, being like that, I was like, oh man, I love God. I believe in what he's talking about. And I was a Bible thumper. I was like, never one of those kids that like could read Matthew, blah, 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 verse 27 and 46, and God said, blah, blah. Never one of those. But I was conceptual. I could be like, well, you remember the story of the two pennies? Do you know the story of the two pennies?
No.
Okay. Well, here's okay.
I mean, only they make 2 cents, but
yeah, they do make 2 cents. So the story of the two pennies is essentially this. Step one, religion. You got to do this little fade outs, right? Like fade out and then fade back in. Step one, religion. No. Then fade out and then we'll fade back into like step two, sex, drugs, rock and roll. But religion. So the story of the two pennies, like Jesus taught in parables, and he was really cool. And if you don't want to believe Jesus as the Lord and Savior, you don't have to. He even says it in one of his books. And I have my own personal struggles or whatever, but just for layman's terms, we're going to look at this story as a story and the lessons that it has. So he taught in parables because me and you can both agree it's easier for me and you to tell a story and like you get the concept of the story and remember the concept of the story than for me to tell you, like, let's say like, it's easier for you to compare something, right? Than it is for me to just tell you it. Like I can tell you, well, the heart works because this, and this, and this, or the way politics work. And you might remember a couple details. But if I tell you a story where the concept is what I'm trying to teach you, then you're going to remember the concept for the rest of your life. Right. So that's what these parables are about. These parables are just conceptual. And the one about the two pennies, if I can remember it correctly, and any Bible thumpers that are listening to this, you know what I mean? Like, please don't write any bad comments, you know. But if I can remember, this is a poor woman and a rich man, right? And they go to see Jesus, And the rich man is like, Jesus, I want to follow you. I want to do, this, and that. And basically, or I don't know if it's Jesus, but it was somebody. And they said the only way you're going to get into heaven is if you give from yourself, And he goes, well, I'll give half of everything I have. And he's really rich. He's really rich. And he goes, I'm going to give half of everything I have to you. Is that enough to get into heaven? And he's like, oh, well, you go and do it. Come back to me. And blah, blah, blah. And then he comes back and he goes, listen, I gave away half. Is that enough to get into heaven? He goes, sorry, that your faith isn't big enough yet. And then and he's kind of frustrated. And he's sitting around, and this woman walks up. Like I said, this is the concept of it, not the exactly how it went, but the concept of it. Woman walks up and drops 2 pennies in, and everybody, and he says, surely you have enough faith to get into heaven. And as anybody would be, the other dude was pissed. He's like, what the hell are you talking about? This poor beggar gets into heaven and I don't. She has 2 pennies. 2 pennies. Like, what does that do?
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm rich. I gave millions and millions of dollars, let's say. Why can't I get into heaven? And the concept of the parable was because she had the faith to give everything she had to God for a shot at this afterlife. Whereas you still had stuff that you were holding on to. And that wasn't, a lot of people get that as a story of money. And it's not, it's a story of person. It's saying that I'm putting everything I have into my higher power. I'm putting him first, which ties into my recovery.
Well, why does God only want 10% of your money?
So that is...
and why does God even need money?
Yeah, so that is another thing. I personally can't answer that question. I'm not really too up on the... Because that's one of those old school, like tithing is one of those old school things. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those, like, beginning of the church. And I honestly... I'm going to do more research on tithing, so that way I actually have an answer for you. Maybe we can do a part 2 sometime.
Right.
And I can have an answer for that. I don't remember why tithing is important, but I know that giving of yourself is important. And I think the reason that 10% was like a number is because back in the day, that's how much you were taxed. So they're like, if you can give Caesar 10% of your money, you can give God 10% of your money, was kind of the thing. Because I think he even says, give unto Caesar what is Caesar's and give unto God what is God's. And God doesn't want your money. God doesn't, he wants your relationship. He doesn't need your money. But people who need God need your money. Does that make sense?
Not really, but I see what you're saying.
Well, I mean, you're a Bernie Sanders fan, so you obviously get what I mean by other people need money.
Yeah.
They give of yourself. It's not like, so tithing doesn't have to be just money. A lot of people were comfortable. It's one of those things. A lot of people were comfortable with the concept of 10%. It's super easy to just say, I make $2,000 a month. I'm going to give $200 a month to the church, right? But that's empty. Like, what are you really doing with the church?
Right.
You're not. Because you're supposed to give joyfully. So that's why that 10% doesn't matter. If you can't give from your heart, whether it's money, time, effort, prayer, then you're not doing what you're supposed to do. And that was what the whole tithing concept is it's not the 10%. People get wrapped up on the you ever heard this, the devil's in the details? Mm-hmm. You know that saying?
Sure.
That saying is because people get so wrapped up on religion. They get wrapped up on, instead of trying to figure out who God is or like what God is, they pick a God they like, and then they focus so much on how they can please that God. When in almost every religion, like that I've studied, it's super fucking simple. Wake up every day and ask your higher power to guide your day, and just don't be a dickhead. Like, just don't be a dickhead. Like, literally.
But it seems like you can do that without God, or without a God, or without a higher power or being or anything. I feel like
you know what? I feel like humanly possible, you can't. And the reason I say that is you can go through emotions and you can try your hardest, but you and your psyche are only going to hold so much. Like, people who say they can, and I don't know your story, because that might be how you're feeling or whatever. I don't know your story. I don't know anybody else's. But from what I've witnessed, so my personal experience, which is all I can speak from.
And that's all anybody can speak from.
Anybody who says they've gotten where they've gotten because of them has never reached their bottom. You know what I mean? Because that's when you need God. Now that's when you need something bigger than you, is when you're rock bottom. When you've, and I mean rock bottom. I mean laying in your bed, heart racing through your chest, 10 minutes away from taking a bottle full of pills, and something in you just breaks. And you're like...
I've taken a bottle full of pills, so I know what you're saying.
Yeah, so you know what I mean? And something...
But I didn't reach for anybody except myself. I told myself, Brian, get the fuck up and do what you're supposed to do. I was God in that moment.
Yeah, but was it a voice in your head that said that, or was that...
Yeah, it's my voice.
It was your voice. Yeah, but it was your inside voice. It was your inner voice.
Right. Well, I mean, I go back to what you were saying earlier about prayer. You know, you wake up in prayer and look for an answer. Well, to me, that answer is coming from my own brain. I mean, I'm not getting an answer from here, up in the sky, or over here, or down there. It's coming out of my own processes in my own brain and my own lifestyle and things that I've learned. You know, my own intelligence.
And I respect that. And so, like, let's step back to basics then. So let's take God out of it, right? Take the word God out of it. Take the word higher power out of it. Do you believe the universe is random? Or do you believe it has, like, a grand design? Like, it's functioning exactly how it's supposed to be?
I believe it's probably random.
Really? You think it's just random?
Just random.
I don't know, man. It just blows my mind to think that all this is random. And like I said, you're welcome to your belief. Nothing that I say or do will ever change anyone else's beliefs.
I don't know if it's a belief. I just think it's just the way things are. I mean, we're just here. We happen to crop up on this earth, and we're here for a short amount of time. And I don't know. I feel like keeping my feet on the ground here and not keeping my feet in the sky or wherever you want to say that you're going.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not focused on my afterlife. So, like, I like to...
But I think a lot of people do that.
Exactly.
They don't give a shit about what they're doing on this earth. All they're worried about is what's going to happen after this earth.
Oh, and you're correct, dude. You're 100% correct.
But that's not enough people live in the moment here and care about the people that are here and care about their family and their friends and their whoever. They're just their fellow human being.
And you're already speaking like a spiritual person. That's what I'm saying. Like, what you're saying right now is God to somebody. You know what I mean? Because God doesn't have to necessarily be... So the word God, well,
I mean, God can be that bottle that your mom was using. You know,
exactly.
God can be whatever gets you through the day.
It is your designated being. Now, yes, my God is the Christian God. It is a person who has my life in his hands and he's guiding me, blah, 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 blah. But your God could be, group of drunks. Could be, guys on deck. Could be, gals on dick. Like, whatever. It could be whatever you need it to be to get you through that day, to keep you grounded, to keep you here and doing what you want to do with your life as long as it's progressive. So I completely agree that you should live in the moment and you should live in today. That is literally part of my recovery. That is what I'm supposed to do, is not worry about tomorrow. But in the Bible it says that. In the Bible it says, don't worry about tomorrow.
Well, in the Bible it says that because man wrote the Bible, and they thought the same way that you and I are talking right now.
Yeah, so
they had those ideas the same that we have right now, and they just made a man in the sky to go with it. I think that's what I think.
Well, so the process is of
and to create law and order, right?
Well, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think that it's okay for people. So you don't think there's anything bigger than you, like just like in general, like something bigger than you that's more important than you.
No, I mean my belief lies more so in Taoism, Buddhism,
so
type things.
So
they believe that kind of all of us are gods. There's not one God. That we are all God. We are all the energy on this earth. We are the universe. We are a God.
But your in your Buddhist teachings are great because I looked into Taoism, Buddhism a little bit when I was struggling with the Jesus figure.
And I mean, that's if I had to lean towards something. I'm not saying I'm a Buddhist or a Taoist, I'm a martial artist. So I mean, that kind of leans me to that way. But I really don't believe in anything, to be honest with you. But and that's because, show me some proof of anything and I'll believe in it. But then I know you say faith and everybody says, well, you just got to have faith. And okay, well, that's great.
All right.
But, a lot of people have had faith and jumped off a cliff and they're dead now, so.
Do you have a guitar pick?
I do have one.
Let me see it.
Oh, somewhere.
I'm gonna do a little. I don't know if your video is gonna capture this, right? So are you afraid to lose either one of these?
No, they're not even mine. I stole them from somebody.
Close your eyes. Right?
All right.
Close your eyes, right? All right. So I'm gonna get up from here real quick, and I'm gonna put this guitar pick somewhere. I'm not even gonna tell you if it's in the room or not in the room. And then I'm gonna ask you a question about the guitar pick, right?
All right.
With your eyes closed. Take these headphones off.
All right. So my eyes are closed. Corey's walking around somewhere. Who knows? I feel like I'm in Sunday school.
Yeah. All right, let me just scoot back down in here.
The AC finally went off. Hopefully it's not too cold in here.
Yeah, I'm hoping that I don't mess this analogy up, because if I do, it's gonna really suck being on air. But with your eyes closed, if I asked you to get up and find that pick, would you be able to do it?
I don't know. Maybe.
How long do you think it would take you to do it?
I don't know. A minute, maybe.
A minute? All right. So, if you think it would take you a minute, just based off of being able to hear my footsteps, if you could hear them, or just knowing the layout of your room, where in the room do you think it would be?
I think it's somewhere behind me.
Nope.
No?
Nope. If I asked you which pick I took, would you be able to tell me?
Well, I got a 50-50 shot, I guess.
Yeah, you do, because you saw both picks.
Yeah.
Right?
Probably the black one. Always bet on black.
Always bet on black, right? Which pick is not sitting on the table anymore? All right. Well, you are half right. So neither pick is sitting on the table right now. So that was a trick question. But that's just to get your brain working, right? So you're wrong about where the pick is at, where the pick that I took to hide is at.
Okay.
You're wrong about, well, you're half right about the picks on the table. Now, thinking about this, right? So you saw them. You physically saw them. So you know those picks exist, right? You were told that I threw one or I hid one, and you were told which one it was, correct? Those are the things you were told, right? And you have to believe those things to get the rest of the answers, right? Okay. So when you open up your eyes, you're going to look around. I'm going to let you look around for a couple minutes, see if you can find it. And then when you sit back down, I'll tell you exactly why I did all that. So yeah, open up your eyes, do your thing. If you want to just take a quick look around, do it with your eyes open.
I mean, is it like out in the open, or I gotta?
I'll tell you this much: it's you're not gonna find it.
Oh, I'm not gonna find it. What the fuck am I looking for then?
Yeah, well, I think that's what I'm saying. But so you believe that you're not gonna find it, right?
Well, if you just told me that, yeah.
Yeah, because I just told you that, right?
Right.
So you have no faith that you'd find it.
Not where I was going to look, no.
No, exactly. Exactly. So somebody, being the person who controls it, because I was the person who took the chips, I had to guide you where it's at. So faith is a lot like that, right? You saw those because they're physically there. That's what you deem that you need to see. So what you have to do is you have to figure out where you see God in your daily life, right? So when I see a child, like a happy child, that's God to me. I'm like, wow, like that's God. There's no way that kid's an accident. That kid's a, random occurrence on this world.
Right. Well, that's where Taoism and Buddhism kind of differs is, religion, you see something, you see a sunset, you see a river, a stream, a waterfall, and you think there has to be a God. There can't be this beauty in the world without a higher power of God. And Taoism just says, oh, it's a beautiful waterfall, and just goes from there. It doesn't have to put a meaning to it or anything. It just happens to be.
To be. I mean, it's a good ideal. It's a good ideal.
And I don't try and steer somebody one way or the other. If you want to believe in God, believe in God. If you want to do cocaine, do cocaine.
Yeah.
I try not to get involved in other people's worlds. But, I don't even try and claim myself as an atheist or whatever, because I don't know. If you don't know if there's a God or not, there's no way. nobody knows. Nobody knows if there is one. Nobody knows if there isn't one. I don't care what your feeling is. I don't care what your faith is, what it says in your heart. You cannot know. Nobody can know.
Yeah,
nobody has died and come back and told us what is in the afterlife.
Well, there have people that have died and come back and said what they see.
But a lot of people believe that's just the dopamine and the different drugs and chemicals within the brain that you're gonna see what you believe you think you should see.
Exactly.
Those chemicals in your brain are going to trick you.
God and science go hand in hand. It's ignorant. And when I say God, like I said, get the idea of this powdery man above me. It's whatever you deem it to be. So with you,
right? But that's become the new diametric. I mean, that's become the new religion. As people say, religion isn't church, religion isn't God, religious is just this. I'm spiritual. People are doing this new thing now to try and spin it.
I don't think it's new. I think what it is if you look at, I think religion ruined spirituality, and that's just a fact for me. People getting hung up on the details of how to worship instead of just who they want to worship. So church is a group of like-minded people coming together to worship together.
Right.
That's all that is.
It's a tribe.
Now, yeah, it's a tribe, right? So Buddhism has it. Buddhism has a group, a conscious mind group come together and meditate together and talk about their beliefs.
There's atheist churches now.
Exactly. That's all church is. So what happened a long, long time ago is Mr. Blah, blah, blah and Mr. Blah, blah, blah didn't like that they didn't do it the same way. And so they said, fuck it. You're wrong. Your God is right, but your method is wrong. And so now in the new age, the age of acceptance is what I'm calling it, where people are having to get past the fact that boys want to be girls and girls want to be boys and all this other stuff that is explicitly a sin. And if you guys can't see me on video, I did air quotes there. Explicitly a sin. You can't be a Christian and hate somebody. You can't be.
But it happens all the time.
It does because of people getting caught up on the details instead of being caught up. So the difference between
but again, that's your opinion. Why can't you be a Christian and hate somebody? Who made those rules?
Because it says it in the book. Jesus Christ, literally, the person that they worship.
But there's a lot of hate in that book as well.
Where at?
There's slavery. There's stoning of women. There's killing of babies. There's killing of their brothers.
What testament is that in?
Old Testament, New Testament,
Where's the New Testament stuff at?
Where is it?
What stuff's in the New Testament?
I'm not a religious scholar.
So here's the dealio. So
that's the other thing people do. They say, "Oh, well, that's Old Testament. We don't believe in that shit anymore."
No. So that's a lot of people do that. Oh, we don't believe in that shit anymore.
Right.
No, everything has to happen. You know what I mean? So if you look at Christians are different from Jewish people, from Hinduists, they're different. Yeah. So a real Christian looks at the Bible as a whole, right? So you can't have the New Testament without the Old Testament. You have to know where you came from to where you're going, right? So in the Old Testament, there's a lot of slavery. There's a lot of an angry God. God was angry. He was was
it the God that was angry, or was it the people that just weren't educated?
Well, it was in the way he's portrayed as angry and loving at the same time, in my opinion. Reading the book and reading all those, it was an angry, loving God. It was a God who, it was like your dad. It was tough love. It wasn't like he was fucking with people to fuck with people. We'll talk about the story of Job, right? Story of Job, the whole book of Job, is the devil comes to God and the devil says, "Hey God, Job only is your disciple because he only believes in you so much because he has everything." You know what I mean? He has everything he could ever want. And once again, I'm paraphrasing. And then God goes, and he deserves it. He loves me. I love him. You know what I mean? And the devil was like, "Well, I'll bet you." You know what I mean? Golden fiddle. Like the Charlie Daniels song. Oh, he doesn't say golden fiddle, but he's like, "Well, I bet you that."
I'll take that bet. You're going to regret.
He basically says, he's like, "God, let me go fuck with him and see if he loves you as much."
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. And it happened. You know what I mean? Took away everything that Job had. His looks, his health, his family, his friends, everything. And when he was beaten down to his very, very smallest, is when he finally snapped and he said, "God, why are you doing this to me?" And God says, who are you to ask me why I'm doing what I'm doing? And he says, if you truly believed in me, you believe that I would give you everything that you had and more. So what do you believe? And Job was like, oh shit, you're right. Like, if I did really believe in you, I believe in you through the bad and the good. And that was the lesson. The lesson of that story, of that whole book, was the good and the bad. So, and that was in the Old Testament. And you walk through all this, you see the good, the bad, and the ugly of humanity and how God interacted with humanity through the good, the bad, and the ugly. And in the New Testament, you see how God realizes that because of free will, because of the very first sin, the world is never going to be able to be clean without an ultimate sacrifice. So that's when he sends his son, Jesus Christ, God and human incarnate, to die for our sins. And Jesus lives, according to the Bible, a sinless life for 32 years. And that is the belief system. So a lot of people get hung up on the old details, on before Jesus came. God allowed murder. God allowed this. No, humans allowed murder. Humans allowed this. Humans allowed that. Because if God was coming down every single fucking day, stopping every single fucking murder, he'd be busy as shit. You know what I mean? So humanity allowed that. God made a way for humanity to be perfect, and we chose not to be. You know what I'm saying? So what did he do? He said, oh shit, they're not going to solve it themselves. Well, I know this is pretty funny. I'm talking about God and saying shit and fucking in the same story.
It's just language, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But he's like, these guys are not going to get it. So
God created those words, right?
Yeah. Well, humans created those. Humans created the meanings for them.
Yeah.
But he basically said, hey, like, I have to send a sacrifice. Like, so in the Old Testament, remember they used to sacrifice lambs. So what he did is he sent the final sacrifice. Forever and ever. And the only thing that you have to do, literally, so many people get hung up on, I need to give 10% of my money. I need to do this and I need to do that. And you don't. To be a Christian, you don't. All that stuff is fruits of being a Christian. And what that means is all those things come from you aligning yourself with your higher power. All those things come. Like changing your psyche, what you do when you meditate. Changing your psyche to be more outward instead of inward produces all those fruits. So whereas you use meditation through like a more Taoist ensemble, well, life is what it is, and I can just respect that it is this. There's no deeper meaning to it. It just is what it is. It is the same thing as me saying, God, you have so much more planned for me that I can't even imagine. And it's more of just an excitement about how awesome what it is. You know what I mean? So it's not...
Yeah, but where I get lost in that is, okay, well, your higher power just said that they have much more planned for you than whatever, but you still got to go out and do it. So why do I need God? If you still got to do the work and you still have to make things happen, you still have to choose the right path, the right road to get where you're going. If it's free will, then why do I need God? If I'm in charge anyway.
He's my God. He's my, think of it like, you remember Slayton Johnson episode. Mm-hmm. He was a guide. I remember this specifically. That was his job. He was a guide. So are you going to go ziplining by yourself? Like for your first time, never doing it? Are you going to feel like comfortable and secure and safe in going down a zipline if you've never done it before?
Yeah, probably not.
So you'd want a guide, right? That's what God is for me. That's all he is for me.
Well, that's understandable.
He's not going to say, like, there is divine intervention. I'll give you that. He's saved me more times than not. But his guidance in my life is what has saved me. You know what I mean? 35 days ago, laying in a bed, thinking I'm gonna fucking die.
Yeah.
Godless, friendless, moneyless, just beat down with nothing. And it dawned on me. It dawned on me the moment that I felt insecure and I felt lost was the moment I became a drug addict and an alcoholic. The moment I took my eyes off of God. And I mean that. Like, yeah, I did normal everyday stuff while still being a Christian. But the moment I stopped listening, the moment I stopped praying and meditating, prayer is Me talking to my higher power, meditating, is me listening. So meditation is Buddhists and Taoists, they just listen. Rarely do they ever pray, which is putting your energy out there into the universe, if you think about it, because they are their universe. But where that differs is, if there's nothing bigger than you, what's the point? You know what I mean? What's the point?
Well, some people need that point. Some people need that carrot in front of them.
Everybody needs a point. Everybody needs a point. If you didn't have a point to be here, if you didn't have some sort of purpose in your life, some sort of fulfillment, then you being the person you'd be gone. You would have offed yourself, and you would have successfully offed yourself. You know what I mean? We both have tried. I mean, we both just admitted it on tape.
Oh, I've said it numerous times on this podcast, yeah.
So, if there's no point, then what are we doing here? There is a point. And the point is that you want to help people and that you have goals in your life. And how you do it is your God is the people around you and the people you help. And the person you ask for answers is your inner self. Because your verbal self, if you spoke it out loud, you wouldn't get the same answer. It takes your inner self. And that's your God in you. You know what I mean? When I pray and I hear a voice, I don't hear God's voice. I hear my voice. That's God speaking in a voice I can understand. You know what I mean? Now, you don't have to believe that. But genuinely, these people are, everybody is hitting me up. They found out I was doing a show, and they're all excited for it to come out.
That's cool, man.
No, but like, you know, the religious aspect is like.
Well, I mean, you say these things, right? You say, and I don't want to speak on behalf of all religious people or whatever, but so you believe in the Christian God. What about the Muslim God? I mean, how do you feel about that? I mean, do you feel like they're wrong?
No.
Because of all what you just said, it seems like you feel like everybody has their own higher power.
Nah, dude, they're not.
That you're not going to dismiss anybody's whatever gets anybody through the day. You're fine with that. Is that what you're saying? Or do you have disdain toward other people that don't believe the same thing you believe?
No, because they're not. They don't have to believe what I believe. So,
but do you think that they're wrong? That they're going to go to hell? That they're damned? That they're not living the life they should be living?
It's not my place to think that. That's the problem that Christians have. That the Christians that you're viewing, the people, the bad taste Christians, or the bad taste Muslims, or the bad taste Jews,
anybody, yeah.
Or the bad taste of every religion is. It's not about whether you get to heaven or you get to hell. I would love to help you get there.
But there's a lot of people that say, "Oh, well, I pray for you because you're going to go to hell, or because you haven't found God, you haven't asked Jesus into your heart," which I think is another power move. I have to ask Jesus to come into my heart. Why didn't He just love everybody? Why do I have to ask Him and beg Him to come into my heart?
So you don't have to beg Him. That's the thing. That's another misconception. Wording and verbiage has ruined spirituality, right?
Yeah, I mean, asking, begging is pretty much the same.
No. So I like the term inviting. You're inviting Him in.
So it's like a vampire.
Kind of, yeah. You're inviting him. You're inviting him to be a part of your life. Think about your friend. You know what I mean? Do you want your friend just popping up at your house, knocking on your door, busting in your house without being invited?
No.
Why would you want Jesus to? You know what I mean? He's not here to bust down your door. He's not here to force himself upon you. You know why?
But your parents would. Your parents love you like Jesus loves you. Why? Your parents could knock in, they haven't heard from you in 3 days, and they come barging into your house.
Oh, dude, your parents will never love you like Jesus loves you, man.
You don't think so?
Never. Because they're human. They're conditioned. Everybody has conditional love. Everyone. Jesus represents agape. What agape is unconditional love. There's philos, eros, and agape. Philos is brotherly love. Eros is romantic love, and then there's agape. And agape is the love to end all love. And it is unconditional, unbridled, just unsaturated love.
I feel like you're talking about my dog Leia.
Yeah, exactly. but that is, like, it's like they don't see wrong in us. Like, they don't.
Right.
And that's kind of what Jesus is. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. But also, think about this, is that, like, He loves you, but He is the ultimate brother. He's the ultimate, God is the ultimate father. You know why? Because He understands what your parents don't understand. Your parents force that shit on you. Your parents force their way into your lives. your parents do all these things, you become resentful. You become agitated. You
don't think every Sunday that Jesus is being forced on you?
No, dude. I think I gleefully go to learn more about him. Because you don't have to go to church to be a Christian, dude. You don't have to go to church to be spiritual. All church is the uniting of conscious minds that are there for the same thing. Same thing.
I feel like they're there for validation. I mean, if you believe in God and you go to a place where a bunch of other people believe in God, they're validating your feelings.
No, man, it's personal. It's personal. It's a personal relationship. That's like saying, you have a wife, right? And you like to sleep with your wife, right? Are you going to go down to the bar?
Not anymore.
Well, yeah. Well, you know what I mean. Are you going to go down to the bar, or are you going to go down to the club, and you're going to talk to the other guys, and you're going to be like, hey, yeah, I slept with my wife. That means she's my wife, right? Do you need validation that that's your wife? No. Do you need validation that somebody's your friend? That's your relationship with that person. You and that person validate each other. And this is getting kind of out there, but these are just my personal beliefs. I stand to think this is what God meant for Christians. If I go around validating everyone for their personal relationship with Christ, that makes me God. And I'm not. I'm not here to validate how you believe, what you do. I'm not here to control you. I'm not here. What I'm here to do
But doesn't the Bible or the Scripture tell you that you're supposed to do that? That you're supposed to try and convert other people to religion?
I'm glad you brought that up. The Great Commission. Do you
you got all these people coming door to door and people preaching and putting stuff on your windshield. People are trying to convert people all the time.
The Great Commission was brought down by overzealousness. So a lot of people where they fuck up is they read between the lines. They like to put their own spin on things. They don't just take it for what it is. It is what it is. They don't take it for what it is. Because Jesus taught in a lot of parables, and sometimes he was saying something. Jesus, by the way, was a very tongue-in-cheek kind of guy. He was a good shit talker.
But there's some scholars that say Jesus never even existed.
Those scholars are fundamentally wrong. There's evidence that Jesus as a person existed. Not only in history, but physical evidence. His bones and body aren't here because they transcended to heaven.
Oh, convenient.
No, I know. In the religion aspect of it,
yeah,
he transcended to heaven on the third day, and only his spirit came back down. But the cloth that wrapped him, that has genetics in the cloth of a human body, Jesus' genetics. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
So, he could have been a human person.
Yeah, at one time.
But is he the Son of God?
And that's what you decide.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what you decide. That right there. We know Jesus was real. Factual. Nobody can dispute that. He was a real living person. Everybody he associated was a real living person. Those people's bones can be found. Those people's grave sites can be found. Hell, even Noah's ship was found up in the fucking mountains somewhere a few years ago. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the other thing. We're spending a lot of time on religion, but...
Oh, don't worry. We have all the time in the world.
But, the other thing is... Well, a couple of different things. One thing, you mentioned Noah's Ark and this kind of stuff. So there used to be all kinds of miracles. You heard about miracles all day long. There was a miracle going on. Where are all the miracles nowadays?
Right here.
Right here?
Right here, dude.
But nobody's walking on water anymore. Nobody's building an ark and putting 2 + 2 animals on there. Another thing.
Would you be impressed if you saw somebody walk on water, or would you think it was just...
Well, I've seen David Blaine do it and some other people, but...
So it doesn't impress you, right?
No.
So why would God waste a miracle? You know what I mean?
Is that what it is?
Why would God waste a miracle?
Well, here's the other thing. There's a couple more things, but so, you have Adam and Eve. You got 2 people, right? Started off. You got Adam. They created Eve from his rib, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So how did all of us come from 2 people?
I want to say...
And how did all people of color come from those 2 people?
So I want to say...
it was incest.
I want to say that there actually is something in the Bible. Because I remember listening to because being a student of the Bible is just like being a student of anything else. There's a lot of different scholars that bring up stuff and blah, 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 blah. And these are just things that I don't really worry about. You know what I mean? Because that's just a detail that doesn't matter. You know what I mean? But it
does matter.
I mean, does it? Do you think you're fucking your sister?
Well, it does matter. I mean, it's a thought that how did we, it's supposed to be taboo to have sex with somebody that you're related to. So how did we get to where we are?
Well, genetically, we all are very, very closely related genetically.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I want to say, and I don't want to misspeak, I want to say there is a lecture about Adam and Eve were God's chosen people inside of Eden, and that outside of Eden was the rest of the world. Like, the whole world wasn't just the Garden of Eden. Like, there was a whole world with people on it outside. They just weren't God's chosen people. There's also stories about the Book of Enoch, which is a book that didn't make it into the Bible.
Well, of course, as time goes along and these questions come up, people are going to make up answers to these questions.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You know, the reason I don't know the answer is because I didn't fuck Eve. So I don't know. I didn't pull Adam's rib out of him. You know what I mean? That happened like 6 million years ago or however long. Because there are, you know what I mean? There are questions that, like, in my opinion, it doesn't matter because we're all are related. You know why? Because we're all humans and we're all like, so it's like, yeah, you shouldn't fuck your mom and you probably shouldn't fuck your sister and you definitely shouldn't fuck your sister. Probably shouldn't fuck your cousin. Alabama, hats off to you. West Virginia, do your thing. People do it all the time. You know what I mean?
Trump wants to fuck his daughter, I think, but
doesn't everybody in America? Yeah. No, everyone wants to fuck his wife. All
right. Well, one more thing about. Yeah. So, what about who the hell is it? Is it the Mormons or Jehovah's Witness that has the extra book?
Mormons.
Okay, so what about that? What about the extra scriptures out there?
Fucking let them have it, man.
But you don't believe in that part of it?
No, because their scriptures are. So first of all, Mormons are badass. The reason I say that is because they have no shame. So the guys, Matt Parker and Trey Stone.
Oh yeah, the South Park episode.
Yeah, South Park guys. So no, they made a musical called The Book of Mormon.
Oh, I know, I've seen it.
Fucking amazing.
And I've dated a couple ex-Mormons.
So Mormons are so badass that you know what they did? On the playbill, they took out if you liked and enjoyed the Book of Mormon play and you want to learn more about Mormonism, go to this website.
It's the best thing they've ever done for Mormons.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because the thing is they were poking fun at it, but
it's
exactly what they believe.
Yeah,
it's exactly what Mormons believe. And you know what, dude? If that's what gets you there, because I'm not worried about the afterlife. Like, yeah, cool. You know what I mean? Like, God, I'm glad that I believe that there's an afterlife and that I'm going to heaven because that's a great present. You know, it's a gift. You know what I'm saying?
But is it though? Because a lot of people will say, I hated all the people on earth that I was around. Now I'm going to go up and be reignited with all those people. My family, whatever. Maybe you hated your family, but now all of a sudden you got to live with them in eternity.
You won't know it though, because you're not like. And so the funny thing about it is the more and more I verbalize this stuff, the more and more I realize that to like the untrained ear, because I'm just getting back into religion.
Yeah.
To the untrained ear, it sounds fucking crazy. But the world is fucking crazy. You know what I mean? Humanity is fucking crazy. We live and breathe. We exist on a planet that is not meant for us. We exist on a planet that's not meant for us. Factually, we are essentially the biggest...
Well, some people will say we grew out of this earth, so we were meant for it. I mean...
No, dude, we are the biggest disease this earth will ever carry. Ever. Yeah, if God made this earth for us, we definitely fucked it up.
Oh yeah, George Carlin had a bit about that we were just a disease on the earth, and the earth would shake us off like a bad case of fleas at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like going into that segment of it, it's like I forgot what I was saying.
Yeah.
I have weed brain and I haven't even smoked. Yeah, I was like,
might be some residual in here.
No, I just where was I at?
We were talking about disease on earth.
Oh yeah, so about the people, about the magnificence of it, is it's amazing that we can survive on Earth when we're not meant to. So if you look at every other animal on Earth, like every other animal, natural selection, for the most part, it survives. Like I think giraffes can walk like immediately almost.
Yeah, almost everybody
like
besides us.
We have to be taken care of for the first 6 years, 7 years of our lives.
Yeah.
That does not bode well for humanity's existence, but yet we flourish. And you know why? It's because we have a higher conscious mind. We're connected to something bigger. You know what I mean? We're bigger than just eat this, eat or be eaten, or we have a code of ethics. We're born with ethics. We didn't create them. We're born with that. You can't create consciousness. You're born with it. So I'm saying, I know it would be unethical to do this, but I guarantee you, take a child or a newborn baby, right? Make it to where he never sees another human being for the first 7 years or whatever. Cognitively, he doesn't get to understand good, doesn't get to understand evil, understand any of that, right? Then put him in an ethical situation and see what he chooses. And I guarantee you, 90% of the time, he'll do the ethically right thing, ethically moral thing.
Well, I mean, you're making the argument against God right there. I mean, people say they need God to have morals. You need those 10 Commandments to be able to survive.
God created that. That's what I'm saying.
Right, but you're saying this guy had no contact with anybody. So you're saying that it's just inbred in him by God.
Because we're a part of God. God is a part of us.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. And then, we are a part of God. We are a...
But religion tells you have to be inbred and indoctrinated into this system to be morally correct.
No, man. All religion says, all Jesus said, at least, I don't know about
Well, I'm not saying all religion, but most religions here, specifically in the United States for sure, says you have to go to church. I have to teach you these rules. I have to teach you how to be moral and how not to sleep with your neighbor's wife and how not to kill somebody. They say you have to be indoctrinated in that, or else you're going to be morally inept and you're going to go out and just kill everybody and you're going to be a mass shooter and you're going to be this because you don't have religion. You don't have those moral ethics.
I don't think it's that. I think we're also animals. We can't get around that. We can't get around the fact that we're also animals. Mm-hmm. So naturally, when you look at some of the taboo, morally askewed things like sex. So we created marriage, right? Humanity created marriage and put the God label on it.
Right. Not too long ago.
Yeah. Marriage, right?
Yeah.
Because
contract.
Because initially it was, I don't remember in the Old Testament anybody getting married. I just remember them being like, that's my wife.
Like a common law type.
Yeah, it was a common law thing. Like, that's who I chose. She's had my 27 kids. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I mean, granted, you were monogamous per se, which I think I
don't even know if they were not monogamous, but
yeah, I mean, but for the most part, marriage is something that man created. Now it is wholly under God. It is made wholly under God. So if you decide to get into a marriage, there are certain things that you should do to make your marriage last. Just a little handbook. It's not do these things or else. It's if you want your life to be smooth and easy, these are the things that we have found that works. Just if you're going to put together a stereo, right? You can do it however you want, but that little instruction manual goes, this is the easiest way we've found to do this.
Yeah.
That's how the Bible is. It's not saying you have to do these things. There's only one thing that you have to do to be a Christian, right? And Jesus said...
But there's a bunch of other books that are written that can put you in the same direction without the Bible, but you'll probably say, they were based off the Bible or they use Bible as a reference.
No, I think it's a common decision on what God is. If you look at every religion, you get to God the same exact way. You just do. I'm saying my God is Christianity. I don't give a fuck if you're a Christian. I love you either way. I don't think you need Jesus to go wherever you want to go.
Well, but like my ex-in-laws, for example, big time Southern Baptists, hugely religious, and they used to say that they hated that I wasn't going to be in heaven with them because I didn't believe the same things that they believed. So there is that disdain for people that don't believe the same thing that you believe, I think, in some aspects.
And I don't think those people are Christians.
No.
I mean, they can claim it all they want. Jesus never hated anybody.
They used to tell my sons, we feel bad for you, and we need you to believe because we want you to come to heaven with us.
Yeah, and those people are the reason why Christians get a bad rap.
Yeah.
Jesus said is my favorite line out of the Bible. You know why? Because how can you frame an entire religion around one person if it's not about what he said? Right? So, and Jesus said, or the red letters, as a lot of people put it.
That's God speaking, right?
It's God. If Jesus is who he says he is, who is God in human form.
But not all religions believe that.
Like I said, that's neither here nor there. We're talking about my
King James Bible.
Well, we're just talking about my religion. If you're going to believe it, then this is the Great Commission. So the Great Commission is Jesus came back to his disciples and says, I'm ascending into heaven. Upon my ascension, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go out and do as I did for you, which is just love and teach and be. And if the people do not listen, dust your sandals off and move on to the next town. You know where it fucked up? Humans. That Jesus was able to do that because Jesus is Jesus. Jesus isn't human. He was God incarnate. He was sinless. He understood his teachings and he lived it. Just like Siddhartha Gautama Buddha. Right? Buddha was who he was because he understood his teachings and he lived them in every breath and every second. So what happened is Jesus gave these 12 or 11 disciples this commission, right? While they gave him this commission, Paul, formerly known as Saul, was blinded on the road to Damascus. Paul got his vision back by Jesus coming to him in a vision and saying, Paul, you are a disciple of Christ. I want you to stop killing and taxing people, and I want you to go out and spread my word. And from that moment, when Paul got his vision back, he became a disciple of Christ, going on to write majority of the New Testament. Where a lot of people get mucky is they pay more attention to the letters to the churches than they do to what Jesus said. Jesus never once said, hate people because they're gays, because they're lesbians, because they don't know if they're men or women. Jesus never said, hate whores. In fact, Jesus walked up to a whore and they were about to stone her. And what Jesus did is he stood in front of her, pushed the crowd back, wrote in the sand, and he looked him straight in the face and he says, he who is without sin cast the first stone. And the people looked down in the sand and were like, and dropped all their weapons and walked away. And then the girl literally looked at Jesus and said, why would you do that? And he says, because he who made you, he who loved you first loves you, so I love you. That's that simple. That is how simple religion is. Or that's how simple spirituality is. And how Christianity is. It's that simple. And people like to muck it up. People like to go, but what if? And this and that. And it's no. It is what it is. It is. I love you because God made you and he loves you.
Yeah. I mean, it should be that simple.
No, it is. It is.
No, I mean, I know you're saying it is to you, but it's not that simple to everybody else.
But my job,
a lot of people, not everybody else.
So my job as a Christian isn't to change their mind. It is to live my life, clean my side of the road, and live my life in such a manner that they see Jesus in me and they want what I have. Because people are naturally envious. People are naturally envious.
Yeah. So
my job is to have such an amazing relationship with my God and Jesus and to be such a good person that people ask me, well, how'd you do it? And then I go, well, this is how. And then they're like, oh, no, fuck that. That Jesus guy, nah, fuck that, blah, blah, blah. And I don't go around telling people I'm a Christian at all. At all. Unless they ask. Because I don't think it needs to be said. I don't think it's a core part of my life, but I don't think it's a
Well, you post a lot about it.
I do, but I post a lot about not being a Christian because I always say God. I never say Jesus.
Yeah.
I always say God. And
I mean, people put two and two together.
People assume. That's them assuming. They think I'm a Christian? It's cool. Great. I'll tell you about Christianity. I studied, I tried to become a Buddhist for a long time. You know why? Because a lot of Jesus' teachings, like, love thy neighbor and all that good stuff, literally Buddha teachings 500 years prior. You know what I mean? But the answer is because like love is love. And I'd say the last thing I'm going to say on spirituality and religion is Religion is fucking stupid. Spirituality is amazing. Religion, like, choose whatever religion you want to. Whatever it takes to get you to a God. But you can live life without religion, cannot live life without spirituality. Because it's empty and it's just devoid. If you don't have anything that you're excited about, if you don't have anything that gives your life purpose, then you're not living. And you won't live. And for me, my purpose came back when my spirituality came back. There was a long time that I lived with no love for anybody else and no love for myself. And the only thing that gave that back to me was remembering He who first loved me. And that's really all I got left to say on religion, you know what I mean? Can't kind of beat a dead horse, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's been, definitely a little bit of time, but it was a good discussion. Yeah. So, just to kind of dial it all the way back to the beginning, how did you, did you grow up in a religious household? I know you said your aunt and uncle, whatever. Was your parents, biological parents, religious? Were your aunt and uncle religious? Did you go about that on your own?
I think it's a weird mix. Like, I got introduced to my church by my aunt and uncle. And then when I was 8 years old, and looking back on it, I think it goes back to me wanting to be seen. When I was 8 years old, found out who this Jesus guy was. And I was like, oh, yeah, I want to be a Christian. It was Bible school. I want to be a Christian. I want to be a Christian. Like, yeah. Because it was positive. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, if I do this, people clap for me and people like me and people are positive towards me. And it was like me building my life around that. Let me do the right things because other people like it. Because, it makes other people happy. Sure. And it built a people pleaser life for myself. And
that's what all kids are doing their entire adolescent life is they're trying to make other people happy. Whether it's their parents, their friends, their teachers, whoever. And
I think that's where we take a step back. And like, I don't have any kids, so I can't tell you how to raise your kids. But I can tell you, I would like to believe that when I do have kids, if God or the universe or whoever you believe grants me the awesome ability to have kids, I think I'm going to be real with them and just be like, you're a human being. You get to decide. I can guide you. I can show you how I did it, and you can either listen or fail. But either way, I'm going to be there for you, and I'm going to try to protect you and love you the best I can.
Right. And that's essentially what I do with my kids.
Yeah.
And I gave a choice. I said, I'm not going to force you into anything. This is your decision. It's your life. You believe what you want to believe, and let your life take you in the direction it takes you. Yeah.
And I think that's good parenting. I think trying to shield your kid too much or not shielding them enough is going to fuck them up. But just being real with them, like, kids can handle it. Kids sometimes say some realer shit than adults do because they don't have that filter. And they realize, they're like, this isn't right.
Yeah, kids are honest. Yeah.
You know? And you know what? Like,
and they don't have any biases yet. They haven't been told to think one way or the other, for the most part.
So they just have what they think.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And sometimes, and like, I don't think you should coddle your kids in a way like, oh yeah, Timmy, everything you do is amazing. Be real with them. Be like, Timmy, you're kind of a little shit sometimes, man. Don't do, you know what I mean? Like, don't be that way all the time. Right. You know what I mean? It's like, we get it. That's how you feel that way. But you know what? Deal with those feelings. Don't dwell on them. Let's move forward. All right. Now, you can't tell a 2-year-old that, but a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, you can tell a 6-year-old, like, it's okay to cry. But why are you crying?
Yeah.
What is wrong? All right. If you don't want to talk to me, I can't help you. I mean, a 5-year-old understands that. The 6-year-old understands that.
I mean, the old mentality was, shut up, stop crying. What are you crying?
I'll give you something
to cry about. Instead of trying to figure out what the problem is. Yeah, they're just like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and I think a healthy way to deal with kids and to create the next generation. So, like, my generation is full of a bunch of people that are just trying to succeed. That drug...
and people call them snowflakes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is what we're just talking about.
Yeah, like, exactly.
Why are you crying, Jimmy? No.
Well, no,
a lot of people still think...
I feel like the snowflakes are right after me. I think I'm the Oreo generation. And what that means is, like, I'm the end cap. I'm right in the middle, closer to the end part of millennials. I'm 93. Millennial ends at 96. Mm. I remember cassette, a little bit of 8-track in certain cars, all the way to now I can have every single song I want, $10 a month. You know what I mean? I remember all that. I remember not having a PC to dial up to no high-speed internet. I remember the old way of life and the new way of life. I was taught that you get things through hard work and perseverance, but I was shown that you only get things if you're lucky. You know what I mean? I'm a part of that generation that politically and manifestingly got the short end of every deal. I was told you need to go to college, but then once I went to college and failed out because it wasn't what I was told, oh man, the school told me go to college. My parents told me get a trade. You know what I mean? Like nobody had a firm answer. And then what happened is, and before me, like your generation, which maybe you're in the same millennial, I think you might be right before millennial, right?
Yeah.
Generation X. Like Generation X. Your generation was right after boomers. So your generation was like, oh shit, like we finally have a stable economy to have kids. Like, you know what I mean? So you're like bootstraps. You know what I mean? You're like the first half of my generation. You know what I mean? The first half of my life. Pick yourself up by the bootstraps. You get what you deserve. You get what you earn. Nothing's given to you, right? And then the people behind me, the Gen Zers or the snowflakes people call it, are taught your feelings matter and you know, like you'll succeed at anything, Timmy, and you're just the bestest thing since sliced bread. Nobody being realistic. You can do anything you want. I'm in the generation that was told both. And so...
And I believe both.
Yeah.
I mean, even though I was, like you said, the bootstraps and hard work and determination.
Well, so let me put it this way.
But I do believe positivity goes a long way as well. If you believe you can do something, most times you really can achieve it.
Yes. What I mean to say is we were told our ideal, what we think, like you need to work hard, and you can also do whatever you want. Like that is why my generation is full of entrepreneurs. We're full of self-motivators, but we're also the highest generation of drug addicts and alcohol abusers and suicide. And it's because we were the generation of potential. We had more potential than the bootstrap workers because they didn't have the technology yet. But we don't have as much, but we have all the downsides of the technology where everything's so expensive that we can't afford it. So we're stuck right in the middle. Half of the people I know, I've already bought a house. The other people I know are strung out on somebody's couch right now. You know what I mean? It's like we're legitimately the Oreo generation.
Yeah. And
it sucks. But what I can say is it's a personal choice to be that. You can either... We have all the disadvantages. Because we're trying to fix what the boomers did to us. You know what I mean? The housing market. But we grew up through the housing and stock crash of like 2008, I think it was. Yeah. And then like the rebuilding of the jobs and this and that. And it's just getting to the point where like my generation has a voice now. You know what I mean? It's just getting that. But the problem is politically, everybody either sees my parents who are hardcore Republican Trump fans / their children who are in their late 30s or mid 40s or early 40s as the adults. And then they see, you know, the teenagers as the kids and they don't see us. They don't get that we have brains too. They think that we're all still trying to find ourselves. And it's not that. It's just that right now there are not enough kids that can vote who are snowflakes. So it doesn't matter, but they're the loudest voice on social media. People who cannot vote, these stupid teenagers that think they know shit, are the loudest voices on social media. Mm-hmm. And that's why people think millennials are idiots. Because they put the young kids who don't even get a vote in with us. And then the people who are voting hardcore Trump are either, which I don't, just to put it out there, I don't know enough about Trump to think he's a bad candidate. I think he's a bad person. And that's really I don't know about his policies and what he's doing for America. I think that the trend of America was already on the up and up. Like we were already trending towards being, to improve.
Oh, absolutely. All the figures tell you that.
Yeah. I think we were already trending to be good, and he stepped in, and he just doesn't look good for us. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like half of being the POTUS is looking good for America. Like,
yeah,
you're
supposed to be presidential.
You're more of a figurehead than you are anything else. And making fun of somebody with handicaps on TV, who the fuck does that? Nobody. Like,
or making fun of any and everybody.
Yeah,
really.
And what I'm saying is, like, I get that we can't be sensitive. Like, we need my generation now more than ever because we are the balanced generation. Not all of us are as sensitive as these fucking Gen Zers, and not all of us are hardcore as these, you know, Gen X's and the Boomers. You know what I mean? Like, we have the highest number of middle of the road conscious human beings who are able to conversate and talk. And as many times as people on Facebook have tried to attack me, if I have kept a level head and have just stated my facts and have just let them be steam worthy, let them have their steam, they've eventually not necessarily agreed with me, but at least they have accepted that I get to have a voice.
Yeah. And
that is what we need to promote. That's where we're going. That's what we need to do as a country. This fucking...
Right. And I'm from the different generation, but I definitely try and ride that same road. And I think it's partly because, you know, I got a son that was born the same year as you, 93, and I got another one in 95. So I think just having those two guys has helped me kind of blend from a generation X to
because you actually listen to your kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Versus...
So I've got their perspective, plus I also have my 75-year-old dad's perspective, you know. So I'm kind of in the middle as well on both sides. So I think we all are.
Yeah, we all should be.
Yeah.
But the reason my generation gets the Oreo generation love is because of just the technological advancement. Whereas... What's that?
The camera probably cut off.
Is that the time? Is that what that means?
Yeah, hour and 37 minutes. That's usually about what time it works. Let's take a pause real quick, and I'll kind of reset some things for a second.
Cool, yeah. We'll see where we're going. I got a potty anyway.
Okay, cool. We'll be back. Well, we're back on now, though. You know, welcome back, everybody.
I just realized that I'm a radio personality.
You're a radio personality?
Yeah, this is meant for me. I figured it out. As I was holding my penis in my hand, taking a pee, I was like, you know what? You were built for radio.
There you go. I mean, you definitely have the gift of gab for sure, and you got a good voice for it. I don't know if you have to look for it. Maybe just radio. Yeah, not TV, but
definitely just radio. Oh man, time for some politics, right?
Some politics. Yeah, I'm not as great on politics talks as I don't know if I'm great on religion talk either.
I mean, I don't know a lot either. I can firmly say that we both kind of agree. I don't necessarily know if I'm going to vote for Bernie since Yang didn't make it.
Well, here's what I know about politics. What I know about politics is I was born in 1972, and I don't know how many presidents I've been through since then.
Reaganomics.
But I have not noticed one difference in my daily life, no matter what president was in the office. And of course, I grew up during some economic times where I maybe would have felt it if I was a working guy at the time, but I'm a kid, you know. So I can honestly say that from my birth all the way up until now at 47 years old, I have not noticed an iota of difference in whoever the president is in the office.
It's because of the fucking checks and balances, man.
So I really don't care, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't want a jackass in the office, which I feel like we have now. I don't want somebody that makes the America look bad and that people say, oh, who's this jackass in the office that just fucking...
I mean, but haven't we
makes jokes about everybody and has a pet name for everybody and just tweets all the goddamn time. I'd rather not have that guy, but does the president make a difference in my life? What's that?
Like, since Bush, haven't we? Maybe that's just like, actually, since Clinton. I feel like after Clinton got caught with his dick in Monica's mouth, I feel like from that moment, nobody could take America seriously again. Yeah. Like, I just think like that was what it was because we kept everything else hush hush. But that was also the dawn of media. That was like when media coverage was like really big, you know what I mean?
And internet. I mean, that's the biggest thing.
That was the start.
Now you see everybody's voice.
Y2K. You know, Y2K had just happened. I think I don't remember. I was like 6.
Yeah.
I mean, me and your son are the same age. Just talking about this. So, Which I think would be great if we were talking about getting your son on a 3-way. Not sexually.
Well, yeah.
But yeah,
well,
like 3-way call.
He's married, guys.
But I think it'd be really cool for us 3 to do another podcast because you have good views as like a father of somebody my age. But me and him, like our views, like how different would they be? Or would they be like really, it'd be a good question to ask, you know what I mean? Like how different
how aligned
are
are you just based on age?
Yeah, just based on age. You know what I mean? Because we went through the same stuff. Maybe not background-wise, like maybe not growing up, but like at least maybe not even fiscally. I don't know like how like rich or poor or whatever his growing up was, but at least like the political times. We saw 9/11 the same day. Everybody did, but we were both third graders sitting in a class, not knowing what was happening. We had to witness Obama getting into office right before we graduated. You know what I mean? Like,
which would still, no matter what your ages are, even if you're born on the same day, right? I mean, it's going to be totally different perspectives. I mean, my son was on an Air Force base in an Air Force run school, and you were probably in some public school here in a small town.
Yeah.
So much different look at what happened during 9/11, probably.
And it would be really cool just to see like where it's similar to that. Like we're just because we're of the same generation that we have like maybe the same end goal. Which I can't say that we do. I just noticed that a lot of people my age are feeling the same way, man, about the world. Like it's.
Well, I mean, I'm friends with a lot of you guys. In that same time period, musician wise and otherwise. But so I see it just in my day to day interaction that is that the 3-way happening. I see that just in my day-to-day interaction with you guys online, Instagram, social media, whatever. That
by the way,
you guys' views are pretty similar.
I just want to say this for anybody listening. I personally love Brian Dale Sr.'s social media.
All right, well, I appreciate it. I try very hard at it.
Only because I know every time he comments on something of mine, that I now have to explain who he is to my mother. She's like, who's this guy that says God is around? I was like, Mom, he didn't say that. Yeah. That's not what he's saying. He's just questioning things, which is great. That means that you actually love life. And so, like, to the political side of things, I agree with you, man. I really don't think our president does much of shit. Or at least
I'm always a devil's advocate. I don't always believe in what I say or what I post out on Facebook. It might just be the opposite viewpoint. I like to have opposite viewpoints. I like to present the other side of an argument.
You like to challenge just to see.
I just like to think. I like other people to think. I like people to not stay in one box and not have blinders on and only think one way. There's a million ways to think out there, which we've already discussed with this whole religion thing. But so I just like people to think. A lot of people don't think; they just follow.
What's it saying? The quickest way to skin a cat? Just put a water hose up the butt and turn it on.
I don't know about that.
No, there's like a million ways to skin a cat, is what they say. And I don't know how they figured that out because it seems like animal abuse, but yeah. Well,
I mean, like speaking of a post, as far as that, I mean, you posted today, right? That I guess you got a new car.
Yeah, God bless, I got a new car. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I said, "Oh, God's a salesman, a car salesman."
And I said we would talk about it. So let's talk about it. We already said religion, but we'll come back. So the political economic system has made it to where, as a drug addict and as a drug abuser and as an alcoholic, with the socioeconomic standard of being middle class, I'm not allotted the ability to be a drug and alcohol abuser and have a normal life. Or the socioeconomic standard just isn't that way. What I get paid.
Well, even drugs and alcohol are two separate things, really.
Yeah. Especially like you can be an average alcohol user, and still have a great life. But you're a normie. You're a normal person.
Well, I'm saying even as far as criminal act or whatever, or the way politics treats both of those people. You know, if you're alcoholic, you just have a disease. Let's get you some help and some treatment.
Oh yeah.
But if you're smoking weed or some other kind of drug, let's send you to jail because you're a criminal. You know, that's not a disease.
You got
that's
one.
a criminal act. You got one. That's good.
You got one burp on there. The sweet tea's starting to get me. So politically, man, we're fucked. Until we start worrying about recovery, and I don't say that because I'm recovering, because recovery means more than just let's get the drug addicts and alcoholics better. Recovering is a daily. Everybody needs some sort of recovery, whether it's economic, whether it's emotional, whether we don't focus on humanity enough. We focus on the dollar sign too much. And that's not to say that I'm some like...
But that goes along with the post I made the other day.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Consumerism and humanity. But
I think you can be a consumer and also a humanitarian, and it doesn't have to be one or the other. And I feel like politically they make us choose. And I'm all about why not both? You know what I mean? Like, in every way of my life, I'm like, why not both?
Well, that's where democratic socialism comes in, I think. But it's a little bit of a blend of, you still have a capitalist system, but you have some social aspects, which we already have.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, I'm lining up a date while I'm already famous. I'm lining up a date while I'm on this. I'm playing a couple shows this week, which I'll get to, and I'll shamelessly plug those.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of shamelessly plug, I wanted to plug something a while back, and I forgot about it. I know I'm interrupting you.
No, do it.
We were talking about monogamy.
Yeah, misogyny too.
And some other things.
We'll talk about that later.
But my buddy's podcast, Caleb Quire, who used to be the co-host on this show, created the show, created the logo, all these kind of things. He just had a guest on, Dominique, and I can't remember her last name, on his new podcast called Like I Said. And the whole show was about monogamy and why monogamy is not a good thing. We should all just be sleeping with everybody. It's kind of what the gist of the podcast was. So it was a great show, and I just wanted to plug that for Caleb over here. Like I Said, podcast. Caleb, find it on all the podcast avenues.
Caleb, if you're listening, let's redo that one. Bring her back and let me talk to her.
All right.
I'll make her a monogamous. I'll make a monogamous woman out of her.
While you're plugging stuff, I forgot to plug that. So.
Well, you know what? Just to go on with that, I mean, I don't think monogamy works for everybody. I think you got to find out what works for you.
Yeah.
And I think as long as you're honest with yourself and you're honest with your partners, then it shouldn't matter. You know what I mean?
It really shouldn't.
Like, it's when...
But that's where that institute of marriage comes in that we talked about.
But once you're in a marriage, you should be in a marriage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're agreeing to be with a person, be with them.
Yeah.
But don't agree to be with them if you don't want to be with them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's fucking stupid. Like, don't waste somebody's life and their time if you just want to fuck everything else. Be honest with them. Be like, hey, babe, I would love to have a baby with you. I would love for you to live with me and be my house person. But on the weekends, when I go drink with the boys, I'd like to get my dick sucked by some random bitch. Yeah. And that sounds horrible when I say it. You know why? Because it's not necessarily what everybody agrees with. But if you're comfortable enough with yourself and you feel like you can be open and honest and you feel like you can deal with the repercussions of it, per se. Like, I don't know too many women who, I mean, obviously say with a little bit more couth, I don't know too many women who would be down with that. No. You know what I mean? So,
well, but that's just because that's what's been ingrained in our head.
I don't know. I don't know if that is necessarily so. I think men are natural beings of, we need to spread our seed because we can spread our seed until the day we die. We don't, I mean, unless you're already impotent, you really don't stop being, you really don't stop being able to have babies until you can't get your dick hard. And then they have a pill for that.
Yeah.
But women, they have a certain amount of time in their life that they can have a child. And when you have that bond, when two people make a child, there's something chemically that happens that makes you want to have that tribe, as you put it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you notice these women that have multiple baby daddies, they're cool with polygamy. Not necessarily cool with polygamy, but like they obviously didn't stay with the same person when they had a kid. That's fine too. But like, there's something naturally ingrained in us as humans, and I don't think it's the way society taught. I think eventually, at a certain point, our genetics shifted, like our evolution shifted to say that it made more sense to create little tribes than it did to just spread seed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like,
but how did that? And I didn't mean to take us on this direction. We're talking about politics, but so how does that align with the religious aspect? Because to me, it seems like most religions, at least the Christian faith, believe that marriage should be between a man and a woman, that there should be marriage, and that the whole family values thing is you should have a conjoined, man and a woman and a family and a picket fence and a dog and all that kind of stuff. So how does that align with what you're talking about now, that you should be allowed to kind of do what you want to do?
You know what? I have a personal answer for that aligns with my beliefs. I don't remember Jesus talking about marriage a lot. I mean, he may have said, like, if you're married, don't cheat on your wife, which then again, that's just morally correct. Like if you've made that decision to be with that person, don't be a dick. But I don't recall. I mean,
I don't know. I don't know what the Bible says.
Well, and like I said, I need to study it a little bit more. One of my favorite things to do is,
but I know that Christians will preach that we've lost our values and this country's going to hell because of broken homes and single parents and all this kind of stuff. But
well, scientifically, it says when you have two parents, male and a female, and I think this is just because of perspective. I don't think it has anything to do, but like a male brain and a female brain, and I don't mean that to say they have to be a male body and a female body, but a figurehead that is a type A personality or a certain type of personality, which is traditionally a male personality, and a figurehead that is traditionally more nurturing, whereas males are more like, father figures are more like, come on, son, let's go, you know what I mean? If you have two nurturing personalities, you're going to become a baby. You know what I mean? If you have two hardcore personalities, you're going to become abused asshole. If you have a nurturing personality and a tough love personality, you're going to get both sides of the spectrum.
Right. It's the yin and yang of life and pretty much everything. Yeah.
So here we go. Matthew 19:1-12. I always talk about what Jesus said, right? What Jesus taught about marriage and divorce. When he finished talking, he went to the country of Galilee, came to the part of the country of Judea, Jordan River, blah, blah, blah. Many people have followed him here. Here we go. The proud religious law keepers came to Jesus. They tried to trap him by saying, does the law say a man can divorce his wife for any reason? He said to them, have you not read that he who made them in the first place made them man and woman? It says, for this reason a man will leave his father and his mother and will live with his wife. The two will become one. So they are no longer two, but one. Let no man divide what God has put together. Right?
Okay.
So that's basically, so his first answer is, once you get married, you shouldn't get divorced because you're one person, right? It'd be like separating yourself. But then he goes on to say, so he doesn't say, you have to get married. He just says, what God brought together. So what these...
I guess that's the biggest thing is they think divorce is blasphemy, right?
Well...
or I say they,
Well, yeah. Well, so here's where it goes. The proud religious law keeper said to Jesus, then why did the law of Moses allow a man to divorce his wife if he put it down in writing and gave it to her? Jesus said to them, because of your hard hearts, Moses allowed you to divorce your wives. It was not like that from the beginning. I say to you, whoever divorces his wife, except for sex sins, and marries another, is guilty of sex sins in marriage. Whoever marries her that is divorced is guilty of sex sins in marriage. His followers said to them, if that is the way of a man with his wife, it is better not to be married. Jesus said to them, not all men are able to do this, but only those to whom it has been given. For there are some men who from birth will never be able to have children. There are some men who have been made so by men. There are some men who have had themselves made that way because of the holy nation of heaven. The one who is able to do this, let him do it. So, in the beginning of it, the people were asking him about divorce because that was the big topic, right? They didn't have a lot of same-sex people because polygamy was a pagan thing. Jesus didn't talk about it because it didn't concern him. You know what I mean? It didn't concern him. He said, because he only answered questions that were asked of him. You know what I mean? He didn't go around like spouting just random nonsense. A lot of Jesus' teachings were like shit that people asked him. People trying to trip him up. And he just answered their question. And it was like an interview with them. And he said, listen, if God brought you together, then let nothing tear you apart. And if you're true believers of God, then you won't get divorced. And then he said, well, then why can people get divorced? And he said, because God knew that you motherfuckers couldn't keep your shit together, so he gave you a way out. But I'm saying that if you're truly following, my path in God, first of all, you'll painstakingly search to see if you need to get married. Everyone should marriage counsel before they get married. Everyone. They should get counseling. They should.
But again, this whole thing just still contradicts everything that we talk about. Is
Well, because
they got divorced, that was God's will for them to go find a different partner.
Not necessarily.
Or that was their free will that God allowed them to have. So either way, they're right.
That was their free will. And you know what? And this
people condemn it, though. But either way, they're right in that aspect. So it was either God's plan or it was free will.
So God never plans on a marriage breaking up. I'll tell you that much right now. Once two people are married in front of God and God blesses that marriage, if those two people do everything it takes to stay married, they will stay married. It just is what it is. It is by first choosing the wrong partner. So by not seeking God when you're choosing a partner and choosing of your own volition.
What about people that have arranged marriages that didn't choose their partner? They stay together.
That's not my worry. It's not my religion.
How do we get back? These people are probably saying, why are we back on religion? I thought we moved on from
We'll do it. How about this? I'll make a deal with you. I'll go do some research and we'll say like a month or two from now, we'll do strictly religion podcast.
All right.
And we'll do just all religion. Politics, we both agree. We're all fucked. Legalize weed.
Well, I don't know. I don't think we're all fucked, but I don't like the connotation that the president has, the way it makes America look. I don't like that aspect of it. Does he do some good things? Is he a fairly good businessman? Probably. I mean, he probably makes some good decisions. Maybe. He sits in a boardroom. He has good thoughts. He's a good thinker, probably. But I think he's taken this. I think he's dividing the country. I think he's done some good things, but I think people-wise, he's causing a rift. He's saying, "This is my tribe, and this is your tribe," and he's split the country up into two different parts. And I think most presidents do that. I mean, there's two sides for a reason. There's a Republican and a Democratic side. But I think the division has become more.
Definitely.
For sure.
So to play devil's advocate, right? So let's look at the glass half full, right? He's already our president. Nothing we can do about it.
Well, we tried.
Yeah.
Or they tried. Somebody tried. I hate to say we, because I'm not really on either side. But.
I didn't try to impeach Donald Trump. I honestly didn't give a fuck about politics until about 3 weeks ago. So maybe if I would have tried harder, Andrew Yang wouldn't have failed out.
I gave him a few bucks, but it didn't work.
You know what? Did you see that media blackout post that I posted? They were blacking him out. He got no media coverage until
it's all's fair in love and war and politics.
Yeah. So what he's doing now is now people know who he is. So you know what happens? 2024, 2025.
Yeah.
Back in it again, and he'll probably pull Bernie Sanders. He'll probably most of the nation will probably be behind him by then. So here's what I suggest, right? We either go the opposite radical route, elect Bernie Sanders, try to allow him to make the changes he feels necessary if the House allows it. I mean, you got to think about that. He doesn't just get to say, healthcare is free now. He has to pass the bill.
Sure. Yeah, everybody thinks he's just giving away free stuff all day long.
Yeah, he has to pass a bill.
That's the total bullshit line.
Yeah, he has to, same thing with Andrew Yang's UBI. He has to get that bill passed. Is Bernie Sanders, with the way the nation is running right now, possibly able to get it done faster? Maybe. We have enough young Democrats who are all for the burn. Do we have enough free-thinking people that are scared of socialism in the way that he has displayed it? Yes. A lot of people know. The big thing is look at Venezuela, look at Venezuela. I don't think we'll ever be like Venezuela. Because I think not that we're too smart, I think we're going to catch it before we get that far. You know what I mean? I think that's the problem that happened with Venezuela is they didn't catch it until it was already too late.
Yeah. And I mean, people, they always tout that. Well, look at this person, they were socialists, they failed. Look at this country, they failed. Look at this country, they failed. Well, look at all the other stuff that's failed in this country before we finally got it right. The light bulb, the telephone, the fucking wheel, the car, combustion engines.
Look at all the...
Why can't you eventually make it work? If you just keep tweaking it and keep looking at what didn't go right and try and fix that.
I mean, if we're the greatest nation in the world, why can't we do socialism better? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like to say with this, and no offense, first of all, everybody who has ever served in the military, thank you for your service. Thank you for what you do. And I'm sorry that you're a pawn in some money war that you didn't start. That is just facts. I don't care what you think. I'm glad you do what you do because you protect my freedom to say that shit. But you are a pawn in a war that you shouldn't have to fight.
Right. And the bad thing is when I did 21 plus years in the military, but the bad thing is they don't really get a voice. I mean, you're not allowed to stand up to the president. You're not even, it's against the rules to even badmouth the president.
The current.
Yeah, if you're in the military. So, I mean, they don't have a voice. They're pretty much told what they're going to do and they have to do it or else they get kicked out and they get a dishonorable discharge and then they can't get another job and then they get on drugs and then they fucking kill themselves.
So you want to talk about slavery? That's slavery, dude. The military slavery. It is a false sense of pride, national pride, patriotic pride that they hook you in with. Serve your nation, and then they make you a slave.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Think about every time the government shuts down. If you forgot to save some money, you're fucked. Yeah. And they don't have any kickbacks from military. They don't have any. So you know what I mean. Like all this military spending on endless wars and stuff. But we don't take care of our vets. Did you know that the percentage of vets in recovery is astronomically high?
Oh, yeah.
And it is because of them going over there. The percentage of suicides in vets is astronomically high. I mean, one of my associates and friends just recently passed away. I'm not going to say any names or anything because I don't want to. But anybody who's listening to this who knows what I'm talking about, yeah, he was a vet. Yeah. And he was young.
Well, just the military in general is 22 suicides a day.
So, why? What are we fucking protecting?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What are we protecting? How many times have we been attacked since 9/11? On our soil?
Yeah, just by ourselves.
Do you really
by our own citizens?
Do you really think it's because we're over there keeping them at bay? No, dude. We fucking solved the problem, and now we're over there.
But that's what they tell you, right?
Yeah.
We have to fight those wars over there to keep them from coming over here.
No, dude. You know what
that's what they tell to scare the American people.
You know what we do? We fought our war. We killed the person we needed to fucking kill. Bring all of our troops back home. Let us go back to a peaceful way of life. And if some other motherfucker bombs us, then we do the same thing again. You know what I mean? That's what we did in World War I. That's what we did in World War II. Vietnam War didn't work out because we went and picked a fight that we shouldn't even been in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But probably the benefit of pulling out is we're going to stop pissing those people off. They're not going to want to harm us anymore because we're not occupying their fucking country.
Do you remember what George Washington... Well, you don't remember. I mean, you're old enough to remember, but...
Yeah, right.
But what did George Washington say when he was leaving office, man? He said, clean your side of the fucking street.
Yeah.
He said...
Tend to your own garden.
Tend to your own garden. Don't get in any other wars. Don't worry about other people's shit. Yeah. And for the longest time, the reason the French people hate us, we wouldn't back them is they helped us get our independence, and then immediately they needed our help. And you know what we did? Sorry, bro. Like we need to focus on us right now. It was like a bad breakup. We were like, it's not you, it's us. We need to focus on us right now. We're too young. Yeah. We need to shop around. And all the way up until, I mean, I'm not very like I'm not a history buff by any means, but at least and forgive me if I'm wrong, but. All the way up until, like, I want to say it was like the Vietnam War, we didn't really jump into shit unless they fucked with us first. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to say World War II was Japan fucked with us. And that's why we got in it. We literally were like, we don't want none of that. We don't care. No, it's not that we don't care, but it's like, we're not getting involved. Germany's doing their shit. Like, but it wasn't until Pearl Harbor happened that we were like, all right, now it's our problem. Yeah. And then America went in that shit, fucked people up, won World War II, and we went about our business. And then you know what happened after that? We started jumping into shit that wasn't our problem.
Mm. Well, we saw the the benefits of war. We saw the war machine. We saw the money that we made off of that war, World War II, and we just kept that military machine going.
Dude, but imagine all the money we could make if we just stopped. Like, imagine all the money we could make if we just.
I'm sure there's been people out there that have crunched those numbers, and I guess people think the war machine is more profitable.
No. See, so the thing about it is the war machine is profitable because you're sacrificing lives for dollars. But what happens if you take all those military people, right? They don't lose jobs. They become national defense. They become border patrol, if that's what you want. They become more, we have more police officers. We have more firefighters. We have more hospital workers. Take all the specialized skills that are overseas right now, and we give them jobs here, back in America. Talk about bringing jobs home. Fuck those factory jobs. Bring the troops home. Give them the jobs that they signed up for. Create more jobs. You know what I'm saying? And then those people are spending that money in their own economy.
Yeah.
Those people aren't sending that money back. I mean, they may be sending their money back to their loved ones and stuff, but it's not getting sent. It's not getting spent in their own economy. And most of those people...
Well, they're making money tax-free over there, too, so they're not putting any money back into the economy at all.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's like, you bring our troops home, you set up good defenses here. You know what I mean? More. You want more TSA? What would you rather have? Would you rather have a trained fucking soldier or some fat kid with a wand?
Yeah.
I would want a trained soldier as my TSA agent. Not like a dick, because I've met a lot of soldiers are really cool as shit. A lot of vets are just normal people, just like police officers, just normal people who chose to have that as their job.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? So it's like, why not have all these defense jobs? Like, stop giving them the fucking fat kids.
And, you're preaching to the choir, man.
But our government doesn't see it that way, like you said, the war machine. But what happens is, I'm not preaching anarchy, but the Constitution says if we don't like our government, we can tell them to fucking stop. They can't stop us from shutting them down.
Yeah. It's always been
they can't
for the people,
us.
by the people, but it's not right now.
But it's only not right now because nobody gets that through their head.
Yeah.
Nobody gets it through their head. Because when they start bombing us and when they start attacking us civilians, you don't think, like, other countries are going to be like, holy fuck, like, the government's going down, blah, blah, blah. Like a revolution is how all these other countries got free again.
Yeah.
Well, eventually you need a revolution. It can be peaceful or it can be violent. But it's like, we can do it either way we want. So we can make it peaceful. We can protest. We can march on Capitol Hill. And we can say, bring our fucking troops home. We don't need war. You know what I mean? War should be put to a vote anyway. I don't think.
Well, it is put to a vote all the time. They do consensuses all the time and polls, and people want our troops out of there. But again, our government right now is not for the people, by the people.
But what I'm saying, though, is that it shouldn't, like, government-wise, politically-wise, it should not be that way. Legally, basically, if we say we don't want our troops in, we want all of our troops home, we're done with the war needs to be over. If our government should have 72 hours to like maybe a week to pass it through. You know, obviously it would take like a month or two to start pulling everybody out. We can't just go, hey guys, we're all going home.
Oh, yeah, it would take a while.
But it would take a little while to pull everybody out. But that should be passed if we vote on it. But those are the things that are not getting voted on. Those aren't even in. I guarantee you, those aren't even bills. Those aren't even being worried about. You know why? Because the power sits with the president and the the Secretary of Defense, I think. Like I said, I don't know everything about politics.
Sure.
But the president gets that power. He can declare war on people, and they just have to do it. And that makes no fucking sense to me. I don't think it should make sense to anybody.
Well, I mean, theoretically, it's supposed to go through Congress, yes, but under circumstances like he did with Soleimani, I mean, he can say it's an emergency. I say, fucking kill this motherfucker, go to war, whatever. But yeah, it's supposed to be voted on.
Yeah, but even if it is voted on, then that means that we're fucking up in Congress. We're putting the wrong people in Congress. No, we need more fucking 27 and 28-year-olds in Congress. As much as they don't think that we know what's going on and that we're spur of the moment, that we're not mature enough yet, well, fine then.
Oh, it's amazing, all these young people that are in Congress that people just despise. And it's only because of their age.
We're progressive. Though. We're actually trying to solve the world's problems.
Yeah, you're bucking the status quo and coming up with new ideas, and people are just like, nah, let's stick with the same old, same old.
I mean, fuck it, dude. If you want to be the greatest, you gotta. You know what the greatest basketball teams in the world do? You know what the greatest football team in America does? You know what the greatest scientists, the greatest anything, you know what they do? They do something until it stops working, and then they fix it.
Yeah. So
our government has stopped working, so now it's time to fix it. I don't think Bernie Sanders is the answer, but I think Trump, like Andrew Yang says, Trump is not the problem. He is not the disease. He's a symptom of the disease.
Here's the thing: is the House and the Senate, right? I mean, you got to have term limits. I think
Yes,
you got these people that are in there forever. I liken it to the military. Every base I went to, I'd stay at a base 2, 3, 4 years, maybe at the most. And then somebody else new would come in. And then I'd go to a new base. I'm the new guy. I've got other new people to come in that I'm in charge over, that are in charge of me. And there's always turnover of ideas. There's always...
Here's how I can bring up the
ingenuity being spurred, where you got these guys that are sitting in there. So no matter what president you get in there, they've got all these new ideas, but you got all these old guys that are sitting in there that have... You're not going to change their mind because they're just set in their ways. You got to have that turnover of ideas, and that's not happening in Congress, I think.
So here's a cool way I can bring up Oxford homes now, because Oxford homes is something I want to talk about. So I live in an Oxford home. What an Oxford home is a sober living house that is democratically ran. There are positions such as the government, president, treasurer, comptroller, all that good stuff. They each have their own job.
Yeah.
One gives out, the household chores and all this stuff. The way they have their term limit set up is you have X amount of time to be that position. You can become any other position in the house except for the position that you previously had. So you have to take one break. So like say I'm the president, right? When it's up for re-election, I cannot run for president again. I can run for secretary general, or I can run for treasurer, vice president. I can run for anything else but president. Then I can come back to being president. Now I can be president as many times as I want.
Okay. As
long as I want to run for president. But only after I've taken that period of a break. So let's say 4 years, right? We'll do 4 years. Well, let's put this on every congressperson, right? Every single governor. Yes, we'll be doing elections a lot more often. If we're doing like every 5 years, every 7 years, whatever. But we're going to be getting fresh people in, and we're going to get fresh applicants in. You know what I mean? We're going to get, I think it's Somerville mayor. Who is it? Who won the election?
What the hell was his name? It wasn't Fleming Moore. Fleming Moore, you did not win.
No offense to Fleming Moore. I love you, dude, and you're a great person. But
I can't remember the fucking guy's name now.
Fleming Moore, if you would have won, it would have been counterproductive to my argument. That's the only reason. But
what the fuck is his name?
The 27.
It was Wiley Johnson.
Yeah, the 27, 28-year-old guy that ran. Brandon King.
Yeah, Brandon King.
Right? Great guy. Great head on his shoulders. I didn't get to make it to any of his political speeches, so I don't know if he was as sound as a public figure.
He did pretty well. I mean, I went to a lot of them and watched a lot of them online, but yeah, he was okay. I mean, he was definitely green. He didn't have the experience of public speaking as much as everybody else and things like that. But green to politics.
He was green. He was green to politics, but he wasn't green to his ideas. His ideas were very firm in him, and
that's what I'm saying. He had a little trouble expressing those, just because of experience. He didn't have experience talking in front of people.
Let me put it this way. So why are we voting in people who are in their 40s and 50s and 60s into an office when the majority of the people who are voting for that person right now is between 26 and 37? Majority of our population, because new people, like our population replenish amount is the lowest it's ever been. So like people my age up to like 33 are not having kids. We just aren't. Are not at the rate that we were. Because we can't economically afford it. A lot of us are going through depression issues. Most of us are single. Whatever, what have you, whatever the stipulation is.
Yeah, my generation was 19, 20 years old. You were having kids.
There was a stipulation to it. So if the voice is the loudest voice in the room gets heard, right now we're letting 5% of the population control 95% of the population. We're letting not only the 1%ers, but also the people over the age of 50. We're letting their voice be way louder when they're one of the smaller portions of America. They are. I mean,
but they're the ones that vote.
And that's the other problem. And that's the problem. Is that because we all know that our vote doesn't matter, because we've seen it not matter.
Yeah, and I mean, I believe that wholeheartedly. That's why I don't vote.
Yeah.
I don't believe my vote matters either.
But then
I believe this country was bought and sold a long time ago.
But what I realize is your vote matters all the way up until House of Representatives. So your vote matters up to about governor. And then your governor, even though you vote on House of Representatives, your governor and you the people kind of conjointly, your vote plus the governor's opinion, kind of choose your 2 reps, right? So that's about the last place that we vote on, right? And the thing about it is, if you're a Republican, you can't vote for your Democratic rep. And you can, but you can't vote. You mean, well, why can't I vote for both sides?
Yeah.
Why we get 1 rep from each party? Why can't I vote for both reps? Yeah. Why do I have to choose a side? That's counterproductive to what we're doing politically. Why can't I have a political, even if I vote Republican in the big debate, the one person president of the United States, why can't I equally vote to get him there? Like, why can't I only vote for my Democratic representative?
Yeah.
That makes no sense to me. Why I should be able to vote for everybody. And class president, when you go for class president, you get to vote for the president and the treasurer and the vice president and all that. You don't have to choose which person you vote for. You don't have to be like, well, I'm going to vote for president, so that means I can't vote for who's going to be the treasurer.
Ricky Waring.
That's it.
That's his name. Yeah, I knew I'd remember it eventually. He's up there. I would say in his 60s, maybe. I don't know. But, him and the other guy, I can't remember the other guy's name now, but the 2 front runners, they've been in not Congress, what's the city council. They've been in city council for years. So theoretically, they've been in the office of the mayor for a long time. And that's who people voted on because they don't want somebody different. Everybody wants just the same thing.
So you know how we fucked that up,
over and over again.
Do you know how we fucked that up, right?
They didn't want a Brandon King. They didn't want a Fleming Moore. They want somebody outside of the system.
So you know how we fucked that up? How we completely fucked the political system up?
Bill Hearn was the other guy. Bill Hearn.
More candidates that are out of the system. So even if the one person, even if who you think's going to win. So the reason, actually, this brings my point. The reason I fought so hard for Andrew Yang, right? Everybody and their brother said, why are you fighting for somebody who's going to drop out in a couple of days? And the reason why is because you're thinking...
Somebody's got to.
Well, no, not even that. You're thinking about this election, right? I already know who the government has decided to keep. And if, for some reason, Bernie Sanders makes it in, it's going to be 4 years of nothing happening. Nothing's going to happen.
Well, depending on how the other seats change up and some other things that
have
to happen.
He's going to do the same thing that happened with the Obama-Bush transition. He's going to do the same thing that happened with the Trump-Obama transition.
That's the way it always happens.
He's going to undo.
You have a Republican, a Democrat. Republican,
yeah.
Democrat, Republican.
And you're just going to undo what was already done, right?
Which is the yin and yang, again,
of
politics.
So officially, nothing's going to happen, essentially. No major, huge, world-changing things are going to happen. Some good things are going to come out of it. Some bad things are going to come out. But Bernie Sanders is old as fuck. He probably will not get a second term if he makes it through his first term. Why not already have your new way of thinking? Andrew Yang's way of thinking is now in the public. It's now in the mind's eye. It doesn't matter whether he won or not. It just matters that now that is a public idea. Now people have that idea in their brain. It's a seed planted that can possibly grow. So, like, say I want to go run for mayor, right? Brandon King wants to run for mayor. Fleming Moore. Maybe 2 other candidates. Now we have 7 candidates running for mayor. A couple of us have the same ideals. So what we do is, like Brandon King and me, we may think the same exact way. Change one single part of our platform so that we both can stay running. Because you can't have the same exact platform or else there's no point in you two as candidates running. One person would just support the other, right?
Yeah.
So in the Democratic election, everybody kind of had the same platform with like one little thing twisted. Andrew Yang's being the UBI, Bernie Sanders being Medicaid for all, and
obviously they're Democrats. They should align for the most part. But,
exactly.
Yeah.
So, but what we do is we all go to the mail.
Although Bernie is really an independent, but he's got to run on a ticket.
Yang is an independent who has to run on a ticket, and he chose Democrat because he even says it in his. Did you watch the interview with Joe Rogan?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He says it in there. He goes, why are you running as a Democrat? And he goes, because you have to. There's no way to
you got to pick a side. I mean, eventually, I think there's going to be a third party, but it's down the road.
I mean, yeah, way not talking about like my kids.
Yeah.
Like, but like back to the story. It's like if we all just put our ideas out there, know that we're not going to run. Like running as a mayor, you're not wasting a lot of money to try to run as a mayor, and you can't really like Andrew Yang only was able to do as a nobody what he's able to do because he was an entrepreneur. So he had a little bit of base income.
Yeah.
Your average Joe who is smart in politics never be able to do that. Not unless we changed up how to pick the president, like maybe like American Idol. Where the government pays for your campaign. Why don't we do it that way since the government's fucking paying for all random bullshit anyway? You want us to pick the next, get some TV ratings in there. Have people pay to get some ads in there, get some funding. Do it that way.
Well, I've never gotten behind this whole funding thing anyways. Why we got to raise so much goddamn money to run for a freaking office.
Where does it go?
Where does it go once you
why
stop
do you have
running?
Why do you have to raise $2 million by? Because that was
like I was an Air Force recruiter for a while, for 4 years, and I wasn't able to get donors or anything for anything. I had to go out, like if I wanted to put a billboard up in my area, I had to go and fight for them to give me a billboard for free. If I wanted to get a PSA or a spot on a radio station or a TV channel, I had to go to them and say, hey, will you please play this PSA on your radio station for free? I couldn't raise any money to go pay for that radio spot. I had to go out and try and sell and get these people to play my ads for free and to put up billboards for free. Why can't politicians do the same thing? Why can't they go out and just, off of their good graces, have people play their spots? Why do we have to raise all this money?
Also, if all these people are already paid so well, not Nancy Pelosi, what's her name? The chick that said she was like Native American, but she looks white as fuck. Democrat? Elizabeth Warren. She was like...
I mean, she's got a little bit of Native American.
Whatever, dude. Everybody's got a little bit of Native American. How do you think we lost all the Native Americans? White people fucked them out of existence.
Yeah.
Fucked them or killed them. That's how it happened.
Yeah.
I'm half Native American. You wouldn't be able to tell. You know what I mean?
Well, I got somebody corrected me online the other day that they're Indians. They're not Native Americans.
No, that's bullshit. No, that's fucking stupid. Whoever said they're
Indian, he was an Indian apparently, but
obviously not. No, they're
saying they're not called natives. They're Indians.
They're natives. They're not like. But
that's what I told him. I said they are native to this land.
Native Americans.
It's a play on words, but
Native Americans are a lot less is a lot less offensive than Indians. Indians is a Spaniard or whatever he was fucking up and thinking he was in India. Native Americans is saying this is America. Now that we've found this,
but they're saying, this wasn't America at the time, so they're not Native Americans.
You give me that person to let me talk to
them. They're American now because we came over here and made this America.
So, but they're not fucking Indians because that means they were from India. Well, so what are they then? You know what I mean? They're not fucking Indian. Like that's fucking stupid.
Yeah, I don't know.
Whoever told you that? What's their name? I'm gonna allow them out.
I have to go find the post. I can't even remember what we were talking about.
Whoever posted
it was a post that Fleming had posted about building the wall down in Arizona. They were blowing up
Native American burial grounds.
Yeah, burial grounds. So.
And whoever,
it was on that post. I can't remember.
Whoever commented on Fleming Moore's post about Native American burial grounds, you're a fucking retard.
All right, well, I'll forward it to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna find you and I'm gonna call you a retard. And I say that because I don't use that word lightly. Only because special needs people should never be picked on or called that name. I mean that in every sense of the 90s use of it. You are just fucking stupid.
Your brain is retarded.
Your brain is slowed down.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm not going to ask you to cut that. I stand by that statement. You keep that right in there.
I don't cut anything. Yeah, you signed a waiver.
Yeah. And I don't say that word a lot. So anybody who hears that, get offended because I literally mean that. Somebody who says they're Native American and then goes, but we are called Indians is fucking stupid. And they need to go drink Clorox.
Ooh, that's how you get rid of the coronavirus, I heard.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, so your guy Yang is out. So what are you going to do now? Besides wait for 2024.
I'm going to research, man. I'm going to genuinely I'm going to listen to Joe Rogan and Bernie Sanders. I haven't listened to that podcast yet. I'm going to genuinely try to feel the burn.
And that's the most authentic. I mean, you listen to Joe talk about it all the time, just like we're doing now, long form conversation. If you and I had just had this religious conversation in 10 minutes, it wouldn't have been anything like it's going to be in that hour and 15 minutes that we did. We learned a lot more. We were able to open up and expand on ideas and in our thought processes the same way that Bernie was on Joe Rogan's podcast. I mean, you're not getting a 5 or an 8 minute or 10 minute clip off of Meet the Press or Fox News or whatever. You're getting a long-form conversation where you really get to know the guy versus just what you see on clips on news or Facebook or whatever. Yeah. And that's what I love about podcasts is you get to flesh out the ideas and see who people really are and get through the bullshit as well.
And the cool thing about a podcast is just like a movie, man. You're not going to miss anything if you put pause. You can hit pause and come back.
Yeah, I mean, most people consume podcasts, I think I've read, in 23-minute chunks or something. So, you got a 3-hour Rogan podcast. You're not listening to all 3 hours. You're breaking it up on your 20-minute ride into work, your 20-minute ride back from work, your 10 minutes that you got.
I think so. Let's do this. Politics and media. I think we should stop watching the news. I think we should stop reading articles until each article has at least 10 references. You remember in college, you had to write a paper, and you had to have 18 references of
right. I think just the opposite. I think we need to read articles and not just look at headlines.
Yeah, I mean, yes, read articles. What I mean though is
right, but
I don't think fake news is
10 articles on the same subject and put them all together and make an informed decision.
So if I'm reading, let's go non-political, right? Let's go pop culture. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. It was Johnny Depp lost all of his movie. I mean, maybe you know, maybe don't know. It was a Me Too.
I know who they are.
It was a Me Too movement where Amber Heard said Johnny Depp abused her.
Okay.
And he lost everything, whatever. Blah blah. Well, now footage is leaked that Amber Heard was actually the abuser, right? So media outlet, when she was the abusee, everything. The news, this, that, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I'm talking about every fucking 30 seconds I saw something about Amber Heard getting abused by Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp's one of my heroes, by the way. That would be like me hearing Robert Downey Jr. shooting up heroin again. It would just crush me. Mm-hmm. And it did crush me. I was like, wow. Like Johnny Depp, he's a woman abuser, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then years later, not months later, years later, finding out that he never did that shit and nobody's sticking up for him, or not a lot of people are. Right. Get the fuck out of here. Same thing comes with our political candidates. It's like, I didn't start seeing a lot of shit about Yang until Yang was already a loser. You know what I mean? Until it was too late.
Oh, we always like the trauma story more than the success story.
Well, and it's not even that. It's like he became a pop culture icon. I mean, Dave Chappelle backed him. You know, Dave Chappelle backed Obama.
Yeah.
Damn, we did it again.
Did it just cut off?
So beep, 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 beep.
What the fuck is going on? Keep going, man. We still got audio going.
Oh, still got audio?
I just, if the video goes out, I just put a little thing in there, fill in the space on YouTube. It's not a big deal.
You should take a video whenever you figure it out. You should take a video of me of doing something really crazy and put that in there while I'm talking.
Yeah.
So it's like a little cutaway. So every time you cut away, instead of it being like, wah, 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 you can be like, do, 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 do. It's just like me.
Send me something. I'll put it in there.
Yeah. No, I just literally like me doing the turtle shuffle or something.
Yeah, I don't know what this fucking thing is doing. It's pissing me off is what it's doing. But
and back. We'll be right back after these messages. We're back.
We've been here. We just haven't. Nobody can see us.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm sure they don't want to look at me if they go and watch this on YouTube instead of listening on a podcast, which I'm going to share the YouTube video. Probably like, man, he looks rough to have a new car because the windows were down, bitches.
That's right.
So
what'd you get, by the way?
Oh, dude,
it's a Kia?
Kia Optima. It looks sporty as fuck too.
I love Kias, man. Hyundais.
All right. Well, I was trying to be responsible about it. When we get into the drug portion. So last thing I was saying,
we're 2 hours and 29 minutes in, so let's.
Well, the drug portion is gonna be short.
Yeah, let's.
Start wrapping up. I might have to do a second one.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Last thing on politics, really just look at your candidates and understand that no matter who gets elected, we don't have to agree with their policies. We don't have to agree with what they do. But as they are president, just shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Just shut the fuck up. I don't care that Donald Trump is a fucking idiot. I don't care that he's making fun of people. Like, I do care, but it's like, why bring the world down? We all know it. It's all there. Like, shut the fuck up. Just let it be until we can make the change. But guess what? Trying to impeach him didn't work. Trying to do this didn't work. So obviously the only thing that's going to work is voting him out of office. And if we can't do that, then we got 4 more years and then his ass is gone and we don't have to worry about anything. So just hold on. Just shut the fuck up and stay in your lane.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's not endorsing or not endorsing him as a candidate. I'm just saying, like, if he wins, like, shut the fuck up.
Right.
Like, just like I asked everybody to do if Obama won. When Obama won, I was like, if you don't like Obama, shut the fuck up. He's
going to be gone eventually. Yeah.
8 years, bro. 4 years. What did Obama get done in 8 years? What is Trump going to get done in 8 years? And I'm not endorsing this, but if somebody really wants him gone, there's other ways to do it. Right. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And
so apparently nobody dislikes him enough.
I really can't believe that hadn't happened, to be honest with you. At least an attempt.
At least an attempt, yeah, factual.
Yeah.
But because I think,
and maybe it has. We just haven't heard about it.
No, we would have heard about it. He would have been on Twitter being like, "I'm the greatest president ever. I missed a fucking bullet. Yeah. I'm immortal."
I found out what happened. I didn't format this card before, so there was already video on it. So that's why I didn't. Because this should have lasted like an hour and a half as well, but I forgot to format it, so it had files on there already, so it was already fucking full.
Fun fact: the band Fun that had that song Tonight.
Oh yeah.
That song. They used to be called a band called The Format.
Oh really?
Had an album called Dog Days. You should look it up. It has a song called Snail. One of the best songs I've ever heard in my life.
Really?
Mm-hmm. All right, so on to the drugs. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
All right, let's do it.
I am...
And I'll tell you a story off camera. But
yeah. I am Corey Tate. I am a recovering cocaine addict and alcoholic. Alcohol is my trigger for using cocaine. In the last 7 years of my life, I've not gone more than 30 days without alcohol or cocaine. Until recently.
In the last how long, I'm sorry?
7 years.
7 years.
7 years. From 20, like right before I turned 20, to now.
Hold on, I'm listening. I got to write something down so I don't fuck this up when I try and put this together later.
Oh, yeah, because you got to do audio and...
Yeah, go ahead.
And video. It's been a crazy ride. I've had a lot of people in my corner that have wanted me to succeed, and I've just shit on them. And I've had a lot of people in my corner who wanted to feed my addiction, and I just shit on them. And so what drugs and alcohol do to you? Do I think people can do illicit drugs healthily? Anything harder than weed? No. I think it all should be legal. And my reason being is...
I was going to ask you that question.
Yeah. I think every drug should be legal. The reason that being is you should not control what somebody else wants to do. I think doing those drugs will cause people to do illegal things that will then in turn make them incarcerated. But
do you think you're putting other citizens' life in jeopardy or in peril possibly from them doing those illegal drugs and maybe causing a problem that causes them to get incarcerated? You know, can we just nick that in the bud if we make drugs illegal?
So you're always going to have drugs, and you're always going to have people who do drugs,
right?
And you're always going to have and you're always going to have people. My view on it is if we make drugs legal.
I mean, I'm with you. I think they should all be legal. I'm just doing the counter argument.
I mean, I'll put it this way. I'm going to get some unsweet tea.
And again, I've asked you a question that kind of took you off of your thought, but...
No, I think drugs should be legal all the way around. Because I think we stop demonizing them, less people will do them. I really, truly do. I think if we adequately acknowledge that there are drugs, acknowledge what they do to us, make it easier to talk about them, I think less people will want to do them. Like, when I go and talk to a 17-year-old, I'm like, yo, dude, so Coke will keep you up all night. It makes you feel like you got your whole world in the palm of your hands. Then when it's done, you're laying in bed and you want to slit your wrist. Me saying that is going to make them less likely to want to do coke. You know what I mean? But me just demonizing it and being like, coke's bad for you, coke's bad for you. And then when they do it the first time and they realize, no, dude, it fucking feels great your first couple times.
Right. Well, let's put it into perspective, too. I mean, I'm going to check this camera angle, just make sure it's all right. But just the way the system is right now, right? I mean, you got 12 states that are fully legal. I think it's 12 now for weed, for marijuana. It's not legal here in South Carolina. Well, if I go to Vegas, guess what I'm doing? I'm getting as much fucking edibles and weed as I can, if I'm inclined to do marijuana. But I'm going over there and I'm indulging because I can't get it here. So if I could get it here, I probably wouldn't consume that much. You know what I'm saying? Same thing if I go to Vegas and I want some hookers. They got free, not free, but legal brothels there. Free hookers. So, I'm going to go over there and get some sex, which it's taboo. I can't get it here. But if I could get it here, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. Does that make sense? I mean, it's kind of along the same lines, right? If you make it opened up to everybody, it's not that taboo anymore.
I think everybody's going to do it regardless.
Yeah.
You're going to have people, just get on my soapbox while you're off the mic. You're going to have people that are going to do drugs. They're going to sell their body. They're going to do porn. They're going to do all these taboo things regardless.
Right.
But I guarantee you, if you ask those people, majority of those people who get addicted to drugs, addicted to alcohol, addicted to sex, addicted to all that stuff, a lot of them will tell you it was demonized in their life. A lot of them will.
Right.
My dad was an alcoholic, and it's never that my dad sat me down and was like, this is why you shouldn't want to do alcohol. It was always like, I either saw my dad be a raging alcoholic and it made me not want to do it because I didn't want to be that person, or it made it okay, but nobody told him that wasn't okay. So it's about sitting people down and like safe injection sites. Like, I would rather somebody go to a safe injection site where they have a nurse give them the amount of heroin or meth or cocaine or whatever they need to do to feel okay than for some junkie to die in a bathroom
right
at a fucking 7-Eleven.
Well, that's the other part of it, right, is regulation. I mean, if we make it all legal, then we can regulate it and make sure people are getting the right doses, where you're not going on the street, you go to this corner and you get some jacked up stuff that's cut with something fucking weird, and you go over here, you get some pure cocaine. That's two different experiences you're going to have.
The only way drug dealers would even come back is if they created some sort of synthetic or some new drug that the government won't allow you to have. And then you know what you do?
Which is exactly what will happen.
Well, no. Then the government will just legalize that one. And then...
Right, once they find it.
What you do is you take all these... So first of all, drug dealers are great salesmen. So what do you do? You legalize all drugs, right? Then all those drug dealers are going to be out of a job, right? What do? You make them salesmen. You open up government shops. You bring those people on. Everyone.
Which I'm sure all the weed stores are run by people that used to sell
used
illegal
to be
weed.
Fucking weed dealers.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly. Because who's going to know cocaine the best? Somebody who's never picked it up a day in their life and like goes to a factory and like looks at it, or somebody who's been selling cocaine for the last 20 years of their life. So bam, jobs are made. Right? You're taking criminals and you're giving them. Because what I've found is if you give somebody an opportunity to do good, you give somebody an opportunity to be legit, I know a lot of drug dealers. Mm-hmm. Most of them aren't bad people. Most of them genuinely are just good people who don't know any other way to make money. Or they have the sickness themselves. They like to indulge themselves, and the only way they can afford it is if they sell it to other people.
Yeah.
It's a sickness. I don't think anyone can do heroin normally. I don't think anyone can do meth normally. It's just the drug doesn't allow you to have a normal life.
What about the big buzzword right now is microdosing. What about microdosing with heroin?
We already do. But the thing about heroin, with opiates, but the thing about heroin and meth is it makes you want to do more. Same thing with coke. It physically makes you want to do more. So what we do is we make it legal, right? First step, legalize it. Second step, control it. Make it not as powerful, right? Make it more powerful than the shit you could get on the street. Not as powerful. Because if you regulate it, right? Like Concert is regulated cocaine pill for ADHD, right? Mm-hmm. You regulate that. Then people can functionally use it.
But therein lies the problem.
Well...
Because they've already got Concerta. They don't want they don't want you taking that profit from the drug company.
Well, you won't though. What I'm saying is, if you legalize these drugs, and you like, I mean, my plan isn't like foolproof, but essentially it just cuts down a lot of stuff. Or maybe just not demonize it. Maybe not even legalize it, but just have safe injection sites. Have places where you won't go to jail if you walk in and you say, I want to shoot up right now, but I don't want to die.
Right. And you mean like they stay there in a room or something? Or,
yeah.
Or they get an injection and you release them out in the street?
No, you sit in a chair and they inject you and you ride.
So like an opioid den or something like that kind of thing.
Canada already has them, man. If you want to check out what they really are, Canada already has them. And like, I don't think it's going to solve the opioid epidemic, but I think it's going to save a lot of lives.
Or it's like even doing ayahuasca and shit like that. I mean, you go to an actual shaman and you sit in their protection in their little tent and they guide you through the experience. Kind of similar thing.
Acid, dude. You have a lot of people that wouldn't go as crazy on acid if you had acid guides.
Yeah.
That's what you do. You give people safe places to experience these drugs, and they're either going to experience it once and never want to do it again, or they're going to have a safe place to experience it. And then it becomes like a bar or whatever. We're not doing it in our house. You know what I mean? And yes, you're still going to have those people. It's nothing is ever foolproof. You're still going to have addicts.
Right. Doesn't agree with everybody. Everybody's chemical makeup.
But I can tell you right now, I've done heroin. I'll admit it in front of God and everybody. Done heroin. Never shot it up. But I've smoked heroin and I've snorted heroin. And guess what? Never got addicted to heroin. I've taken pain pills. Never got addicted to pain pills. Yeah. I shot up methamphetamines when I was 22 years old. Never got addicted to meth. Smoked meth when I was 22 years old. Never was a problem for me. But you put cocaine right here, right now, I would be high as a kite. You wouldn't be able to stop me unless I walked out the room. And that's just the weird thing about it is not everybody's going to get addicted to everything. So,
well, some people just have addictive personalities.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but I'm just saying, like heroin, like an addicted heroin user is like heroin's bad, meth is bad, cocaine is bad. We can agree on these things. You legalize them, you give them a safe place to use it. Then what you do is you just stop people from dying from it. You know what I mean? And then you educate people when they come. They come to these centers and you show them. You go, okay, now that you're here, you have to ride your high out here. Yeah. Time to educate you on what you're going through right now.
Right.
And then education is part of the process of recovery. I wouldn't have a shot if I wasn't educated. Like if people didn't start telling me what was going on in my body and why I was feeling the way I was feeling. Every time that I've had a freak out after using just a little bit, people weren't telling me, yeah, dude, you're getting to the point where if you use again, you're going to die. I wouldn't have given it up. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing about it, the education portion. I think recovery, what lies in recovery is realizing all this taboo shit that we've talked about tonight isn't taboo. We as people are just afraid to talk about it because of how we feel about it. But we don't realize that having the conversation will save more lives than not. Because there's people out there that are dealing with things that you will never, ever, ever believe. And you could save them by simply just being like, what's going on in your life? And meaning it. Yeah. You will save 1 billion lives by looking somebody in the eyes and go, how do you feel today? What's going on in your lives? Let's stop demonizing little boys having feelings. Let's stop demonizing little girls wanting to be tough and tomboys. Let's stop demonizing drugs and alcohol. But let's stop promoting it too. Let's stop glorifying alcohol on the Super Bowl. They wouldn't put one commercial about legal marijuana, but they put 10, 20 Bud Light, Miller Lite, Coors Light, alcohol, Jim Beam, whatever. Commercials a day. A day I see on basic cable or watching a YouTube video. Even watching this video, who knows what ad they're going to put on before somebody clicks on your video, you know what I mean? Yeah. If you monetize it or however they do that. Could be. I've seen a lot of videos about recovery, and in the video before it was like Jim Beam, brewed, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, wow, right before, you know what I mean?
It doesn't make any sense why that's legal. because it's a drug just like any other drug. And it's probably a worse drug, I think, than marijuana.
No. Alcohol is definitely the gateway drug. Alcohol is the gateway drug because you know what? Alcohol lowers our inhibitions. It makes us do things we wouldn't normally do, and it chemically changes our brains.
Well, I think it makes you do things. Most people do things that they really want to do.
Yeah, inhibitions. It lowers our inhibitions.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is it makes you do things that consciously who you are as a conscious person would never do.
Right.
Makes you cheat on your wife. Makes you snort a line off a hooker's ass. Makes you spend $300 that you weren't going to spend. Makes you do all those things because it seems like a great idea. I've had some pretty awesome ideas while stoned. Yeah. I'll tell you that. None of them involved hookers and blow. A lot of them involved the different ways that I could do nachos with Doritos.
Okay.
A lot of them. Actually, most of them involve food when I'm stoned. Some of them involve music. Some of them involve nature. The ever casual involves partying. But typically it's more of a kickback party. It's more of like a, whoa, man, let's chat. Like, if I could smoke weed right now, I would.
Yeah.
In my recovery, I am not there. I can say weed was never an addiction for me. I probably smoked maybe a quarter a month, which, as most marijuana users would say, that's not a lot. Not a lot at all. A quarter of a pound a month is about an eighth a week, which is about $30 worth of marijuana a week. Yeah. Most people spend that in a night at a bar.
Oh, easily, yeah.
Most people...
I work at a bar. I see the money people spend.
Most people would smoke 3.5 grams of weed in 3 blunts. You know what I mean? So obviously that wasn't an addiction for me. Right now I'm having to come to the terms of what addiction is and what could be a trigger. And the way my boss puts it is when you're trying to fix a problem, you don't change everything all at once. You change one thing if you're trying to fix a problem. Well, recovery is the exact opposite. You change everything all at once, and then you allow yourself different things gradually come back to you. But any mind-altering substance isn't allowed. So there's this thing called Cali Sober, which is where people, because alcohol is what I'm trying to stay sober from. Cocaine is what I'm trying to stay sober from. Marijuana is not. I don't think I have a problem with that. But living in an Oxford home, I have to be sober. Completely sober. I cannot pee dirty for anything. Can't even use CBD, which is not legal. Can't use kratom, which is not legal. You have to be pee clean. Right. I respect that. I respect the laws of the house. And it is a great way to keep people sober.
Well, here's the thing I've never understood. Just speaking about you have to be clean from everything is, and it's TV shows. And I've been to AA meetings and NA meetings and Al-Anon and different things growing up. But any meeting you go to, and maybe it's the same at this Oxford house, people are smoking like chimneys. They got a coffee pot going at all times. So they're getting their caffeine. They're getting their nicotine. Why are those substances allowed when you're trying to kick addictions? And they're just allowing you these other addictions. Caffeine is a drug. Nicotine is a drug.
It's the lesser of two evils, because eventually, if you're really about recovery, you'll you know me, I used to chew tobacco. 15 days into recovery, I put a can of dip down, haven't picked it back up. Yeah. It's eventually like you get the concept of recovery, and then you pick and choose what's allowed in your life. Caffeine. I drink coffee now. I never drank coffee before. Now I drink a lot of coffee and I eat more sugar than I used to. But it's like, what's worse? Me having a couple Twinkies a week or me snorting 5 grams of Coke a week? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because complete abstinence of everything in your life makes for a dull person. And recovery is not about abstaining from life. It's about not harming your life. So these programs that you talk about, which I, one of the traditions is anonymity on radio and all the other good stuff. I personally go to meetings. I personally am an AA, NA, CA advocate.
Well, I didn't know before you came in here if that was maybe even the reason that you found religion was because of those programs. Because I know they're very religious based.
They're spiritual based, but yeah. So I don't want to harp on those programs because I'm not quite sure if I'm in. There's like 12 traditions, 12 steps. Blah blah blah. Yeah. I don't know if I'm breaking one of the traditions because one of the traditions does state keep an enemy as it comes to the press, movies, all that stuff. And I don't know if that means like other. I'm pretty sure it's other people's an enemy. However you say the word.
I mean, I listen to a guy named Theo Vaughn all the time, and he's a recovering addict, and he talks about it all the time. And he's the same thing. He's like, I don't even know if I should be talking about this, but I got to go to a meeting, and he talks about AA all the time. Dude,
I didn't know Theo Vaughn was sober. That actually makes me happy because he's a comedian, and I love his comedy. Yeah, and I would love to hear more about his sobriety. So what I love is hearing about people's sobriety, dude. I didn't know Theo Vaughn. I'm just getting into listening to podcasts. Yeah. And,
him and Joe Rogan are my two. That's really the only thing I
listened to Joe Rogan before his podcast got popular. Just Joe Rogan as an individual.
Theo's been on there 3 times now, I think. So listen to his podcast with Theo Vaughn, and he talks about his sobriety, and I think he even abstains from masturbating. I mean, that's how far he goes.
No. Well, I'll tell you right now, that's not a part of the program. Actually, I go to a counselor, and he tells me
he calls it the dark arts.
No, dude. So Theo is a hardcore recovery person, which is fine. Yeah. Being in recovery is just like having religion. It's different. There's different ways. There's only a few things that you have to do. 12 steps to recovery or a thing you have to do. If you don't work the steps, you don't recover. That's just part of it. It's just proven. It's proven. Mm-hmm. If you don't read the book and you don't work the steps, you don't recover. But the masturbation thing, no, fuck no. I don't masturbate as much as I used to. I'll tell you that. Like, I actually masturbate less now that I'm off all these drugs than I did. Like, when I was doing coke, I was masturbating like 3 times a day. Like, I could not. And then with the sex part, I was trying every which way to get any girl I could into my room to fuck. Like, it was just a deplorable person. And I'm not saying that to demonize sexuality. If you want to have sex, have sex. Sure. If you want to have sex with multiple partners, have sex with multiple partners. But know why you're there. And that's not me. My inner personality, my inner Corey has never been someone who wants to sleep with 40 billion different people. Mm. My addiction made me that.
Right.
So we can now go into the sex. Now, masturbation. My counselor says the 3 M's. Go to meetings. Make sure you meditate. Make sure you masturbate. Yeah. He says, like, because I personally am not. One of my things is I'm not supposed to get in a romantic relationship for my first year of recovery. Yeah. Lucky for me, nobody wants to date me. So lucky for me, I don't have to really worry about it.
Now, is there a lot of relationships that happen, at this Oxford house or whatever? I mean, I'm sure it's co-ed.
This one's not. Mine is a men's. Okay. There are co-eds. There are family.
Which it doesn't have to be co-ed. I mean, it could be.
There are family.
You could fall in love with a man, I guess.
Well, they don't really ask about sexual orientation, but yeah. Dude, you know what? It's to each their own. There aren't rules. That's the cool thing about recovery. There are no rules. You got to work your own program. The only 3 things that they tell you have to do is you have to abstain from mind-altering substances, and that's your personal recovery. You have to abstain from, if you're living in an Oxford home, you have to abstain from all substances that pop on a P test. Yeah. And they only say don't do kratom and don't do CBD because in high doses, it can show up on a P test. Mm-hmm. And they would rather you. I mean, there's certain like GBH or GHB or whatever, which is illegal. It's a growth hormone. It's known as a date rape drug now, but it used to be for weightlifters, and it was a growth hormone that you could get shredded because it would knock you out. And
HGH, right? Human growth hormone. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, HGH or GHB, something like that. Yeah. Whatever. Even some steroids and some like over the counter like I have to be really careful what I put in my body whenever I go to work out. Yeah. Because if I pop on a P test, I'm out, whether it's illegal or not.
Yeah, the same thing in the military. There was some substances you want to stay away from, or not substances, but supplements.
And all it is a structured environment that is centered around taking people who had no shot at hell and being sober, and showing them how to live a normal life, how to regain their life, and how to get ready to be sober. Oxford houses aren't meant to be lived in forever. They're essentially halfway houses. Yeah. They're halfway houses. Some people go in. I'm lucky. I go in with a full job. I was homeless. How I got in there? I got sober and I was living with people who weren't sober, and it became a tough situation to live in. There became an altercation. The altercation got physical, and at that point, I did not feel comfortable going back to the house. Yeah. So I was homeless. So I was sleeping on a friend's couch for a couple of days. God bless them. Recovering from a rib injury from the altercation. And I found out what sober living was. And it just spoke to me. And now I live with these guys who genuinely care if I stay sober. And that's amazing. And I don't think anybody else in the world has that. I don't think anybody else can say they live with their roommate and their roommate genuinely gives a shit about them. Yeah. Or about, I mean, maybe. But, so I'm all for Oxford houses. And just another shameless plug, which I will come back and we'll do another show. Yeah,
I was going to say, let's kind of tie this up to a little bow, and we'll come back to it if you want, because I know you want to play a couple tunes too, right? Or are you still
I can save that? My voice is kind of rough. Okay, I can probably save the tunes for next time. But just quickly, check out Oxford Homes. Check out what they do. In the coming months, check out my Facebook page. It's Corey Tate Music on Facebook. Corey Tate Music.
Yeah, and I always link those in the descriptions on the show too.
Perfect.
So all your Instagram and websites and all that stuff.
And my new goal now, when I find time, is I want to get a music not festival, but music day together.
Yeah, I saw your
post. Where all
about
proceeds are going to go to Oxford Home. So they're trying to send 10 delegates to Worlds, which is like a giant conference where it's all sober people who live in Oxford Homes come together and learn more about how to efficiently run and manage and how to expand the network. Our goal is to buy another Oxford Home and create 7 to 10 more safe beds for recovering addicts to live in. And it's not like they live for free. Oxford Homes are ran by the people who live in them. Democratically, right. They pay their rent. And if they get too far in the red, Oxford kicks everybody out, bails them out, and gets 7, 10 new people in. Mm-hmm. And then the president is responsible for making sure the house doesn't get in the red.
Right. Then you guys are responsible for, your own food, your cleanup, maintenance, all that kind of stuff?
We're responsible for all that. We pay for all maintenance. We pay for our electricity, our water, all that good stuff. Sometimes we do get food donations from food banks, which is genuinely because a lot of people going to Oxford Homes don't necessarily have all the extra funds to provide food for themselves.
It's a socialist program.
Yeah, and food is a necessity of life. But that's it. They don't pay for our electricity. They don't pay our rent. They give us every so often we can go to the food bank. Yeah. And they will give us a donation amount. And it is because we are a charitable nonprofit organization. And the people who live in the homes are that. So next show, I'll get more information on that. We'll try to do another show before I do we'll promote that. Do that.
Talk about the artists that are signed up for it.
I would love to possibly have you on scene if we're able to pack this up and try to.
Oh, I can go mobile.
Yeah, if you can go mobile, that would be awesome to do a mobile podcast of the day. Maybe get different recovering people on your podcast that day. Get a bunch of different people. Just some thoughts. You know what I mean? We'll talk more about that off camera.
Sure.
But all I want to say, my final retorts, my final thing is, don't listen to this whole motherfucking thing at one time. If you can cut this and put this at the beginning, cut that one little note right there and put it at the beginning. Write that down. Don't listen to this whole motherfucking thing.
I usually do an intro for whenever I have a guest. I'll do an intro for the audio portion, not the YouTube, but the audio portion will have an intro explaining who I'm talking to and what we talked about a little bit.
Put down your audio. Don't listen to this whole motherfucker at once. It's a lot of info that we covered, and we both have very analytical minds. I think we both conversate very similarly. So the 5 things I'm going to leave you with.
All right.
Go research what an Oxford Home is. If you are lucky enough not to have an addict or an alcoholic in your life, thank your lucky stars you are. If you're lucky enough to have an addict or an alcoholic in your life, love them just like you would if they weren't, because they need that. 4 things, support your local musicians and your local musicians' charities. And the final 5th thing is rock the vote, man. Like, even if you don't think it doesn't matter, find a candidate you can back, vote until they're not a candidate anymore, and then reassess the situation. You know what I mean? Like, if Bernie loses out and for some fucking reason Joe Biden's up there, reassess the situation. Is he, you know what I mean, is he worth voting for? And if he's not, well,
yeah,
pick the lesser of the two evils.
That's what I was about to say. Is people normally pick the lesser of two evils. Just the way it works out nowadays. But yeah,
fuck, dude, Joe Biden would be so good if he had Obama as his vice president. They would get in so easy. They would get in so easy. He could run his whole campaign off of Obama's my vice president, and as soon as I get in,
that's all he talks about. His whole campaign is Obama this, Obama that.
All I'm saying is, I know we're ending it, but like Joe Biden, if you're out there and you're listening, go ahead and say Obama's your vice president, and tell everybody that as soon as you get in office, you're resigning.
He doesn't want it. He doesn't want it.
Yeah, well,
he didn't even stick around in New Hampshire for his fucking voters up there, man. He fucking bolted. Yeah. But anyway, that's a good note to wrap it up.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, man, it was fun. We talked about a lot of good stuff. Probably the longest one I've done in a while, actually.
I can't wait to re-listen to myself talk.
Yeah.
If you can just cut out...
I re-listen to it as I put it together, so it's fun.
If you can just cut out all your parts, that'd be great.
All right.
Just listen to myself
I'll send you separate audio. Yeah.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right, Corey. I appreciate it, man. We'll get together again.
Thank you, sir.
All right, buddy.